order. Please note the time. Ms. Hool, if I can ask you to call attendance, please.
Mr. Jenke.
I'm here.
Mr. Ware.
I'm here too.
Ms. Gardner.
I'm here.
Mr. Hallvilla.
I'm here. That's all the makings in
I'm
those
here.
kind of evenings, doesn't it? We have a quorum. Everyone is present. The first item on our agenda for the water board this evening is approval of the agenda as presented. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I will make that motion.
Ms. Gardner. Is there support?
I'll support.
Mr. Wareham and or Ms. Hool? Mr. Wareham, are there any corrections, additions, deletions to the agenda as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as presented, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from the April 14th, 2021 Water Board meeting. I trust everyone has had a moment to look them over. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I'll motion.
Ms. Hool, is there support for the motion?
I'll support.
Ms. Gardner, we have a motion and support for the minutes for the April 14th, 2021 Water Board meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, proposed deletions to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Financial reports. In your packet, you have the water system's financial reports. Just everyone has had a chance to look them over. We include the profit and loss, budget versus actual, a balance sheet, check detail, deposit detail, and in your handouts, you have an update through March of last year's revenues. Ms. Gardner?
Correct.
Thank you. Are there any questions specific to the reports as presented?
No question, but a comment. It's so
Mr.
nice
Wareham.
to finally look at one that is so nice and clean and you know 110%.
Yes.
Everyone, I trust, has had a moment or two to look this over. Is there a motion to accept the reports and file?
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Gardner?
Yep.
Moving that we accept and file. Is there support to the motion?
Support.
Mr. Jenke? Proposed corrections, deletions, additions from anyone? Or additional comments on the reports? If not, all in favor of the motion to accept and file, please indicate by saying aye.
Right?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Payment of bills. Ms. Hool, Ms. Gardner, comments prior to asking for a motion on bill payment. Material, I believe, is here for everyone's additional review if desired. Do I have a motion to accept the payment of bills and recommend their approval up to, or acceptance, excuse me, up to the board?
I'll motion.
A motion by Ms. Hool. Is there support?
I'll support.
There's support. Are there any questions, comments, concerns about the bills offered for review? Mr. Jenke?
Is there a place where I can see how much we have left on this bond from Superior National Bank?
Probably
In the audit for sure.
Okay, there's a, I mean, I just see that we kicked out almost $55,000.
Yeah, that's our annual.
So I'm just curious,
Yeah, it's in the audit.
you know, is that a once a year thing? Is that that payment's only once a year, so
Right.
we'll only see this once.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, okay, looking at the audit, I can see it there. Okay.
Any further questions or comments before I call for a vote on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
There was no support.
There was no support? I
Yeah.
apologize.
For payment of bills?
Yeah.
You and me.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
that's
I didn't hear.
There was.
I didn't get the
apologize.
last one. Who seconded the financial reports?
Mr.
Yeah,
Jenkins.
okay, thanks.
You all set then?
Yep.
We'll vote on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I apologize for not restating the motion. Got caught up in the moment. Next item on our agenda is public comment. Anyone present or participating via Zoom, they'd like to offer comment to the water board. You will have the floor for up to 3 minutes. Please identify yourself and I'll call right now for public comment.
Good evening, this is Kristen. Hi, Mark.
Good evening, Kristen. The floor is yours for 3 minutes.
Okay, I'll make it short. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to thank the board for the continuing the Zoom access. That makes it possible to attend and makes it easier for people to participate. So thank you for continuing that. And that's all for now.
Thank you very much. Anyone else participating that would like to offer comment? Hearing none, please note the time that public comment was closed. We will offer a second opportunity at the end of the meeting. Next item on our agenda, reports, water operators report. Mr. Matt Polk, the floor is yours.
Oh, did water reads and they went fine. Last vacuum test was fine. This is more, Mark and I did a meter test on a meter where the owner said it was going crazy. Well, we tested the meter and it came out to how much, how much in 10,000 gallons, like
I think it was
10 gallons.
less than 1% per 100.
That's not crazy.
No. And the thing is, I've had this happen before. Person complaining about the meter reading, he said it was like 100,000 gallons or something. Of course, then when you put the new meter in, it's okay. So that only tells me one thing, especially when we test it. Person found that he can fix it, and he doesn't want to pay the overage.
Mhm.
So, I've had this happen before. So just for your information, I don't know if you guys want to do anything with it or.
I mean, if the meter's fine, the meter's fine,
You
not the
put it-
meter.
You put a new meter in?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the old one was fine, or you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see where that goes, I guess. Did they actually come in and not pay the bill yet, or?
We came in and paid $68, that's it. So,
Yeah.
We have another one too that did a leak, unless we're talking
Just
about. the
complaining
same
about your water
person.
meter so you don't have to pay your bill is probably not gonna be an acceptable way for us to do this.
So I don't know. what you-
I'm just saying, I don't know, that sets a bad precedent that all you have to do to get out of your water bill is complain about your meter. And
Well, I mean,
if there's
but he
something wrong
found a
with it,
leak, you know?
if it's something wrong with it and it tests that there is something wrong,
Yeah,
then okay.
right.
That's why I wanted Mark to witness that, I bet.
Okay.
Thought you do that before also. Just so they're not seeing
That's my 2 cents for that conversation, I guess.
What is the board's pleasure relative to Aaron's comment and a recommendation up to the board for action?
I agree with 100%. You don't find anything wrong with the meter. Nothing wrong with the meter, right? I think
then when you put the new meter in, it's fine,
that's a bad,
it had.
it's just not a good enough excuse to get out and pay.
Yeah, either a leak or somebody was washing their car all day, or I don't know what it
Something
is, but that's whatever.
Or something happened.
Would it be appropriate to send a letter to the individual indicating that the test proved that there was a very slight deviation of less than 1%?
That's within acceptable range.
Yeah, that was less than a gallon per 100. And in fact, if I may, during
It's
the
like
test, I
8
asked Bob, why are you running so much? He said, we got to run to at least 100 gallons to see what it looks like. He ran 100 gallons through it, and the deviation was less than a gallon. So we're talking about 10 gallons per 1,000. 100 gallons for 10,000 at that rate. So
Which isn't enough to make a difference on a bill.
I mean, his bill was like,
How many gallons was on the bill?
I don't know, it's like 70,000-80,000 gallons or something.
How much?
70,000-80,000 gallons, I don't know.
There's no meter did that.
That's,
Yeah, that is.
You know,
wow.
the guy fixed it. And now it's not, see, that meter was no good now. The new one is okay.
Mhm.
Like I said, I've had that happen before. No, I'm okay with that.
I don't know what to say. I mean, if you tested the meter and it came out, the test came fine, I'm having a hard time.
the math is off the top of my head, but I think that's fairly accurate. But yeah, we were both looking at all the numbers, and that's less than a gallon per 100. And
Less than that, how much water do you use?
I mean, 70, did I hear 70,000 gallons? Is that what I heard?
But meter cause you can
I
run
mean,
run
these
without a
old
meter on
kids,
it.
I mean, you're, what are we talking? A couple $100 there at least, eh?
Oh, hell yes.
Mhm,
Oh, what were we charging? $3 a thousand? Something,
something like that.
sometimes 70 times 3. You know,
Mhm.
140, 200, or 2,000, you know, $2,100 or 210 bucks. So,
Can't just let that slide away.
should we inform, if I may offer, the homeowner that the.
I like the letter idea.
They send a letter and say that we're still
That's a
concerned about
start.
a balance being paid?
Yeah, I think that's a start, and conclude that the water meter was tested in, you know, your language about that. And I think that's a good start.
3,600,
What's how much?
103,600.
Okay, so we're closing in on $300 there,
Yep.
so plus a regular bill.
But
The heck did they even do?
How do you let it go that far? Something was just running like crazy.
Well, you know, I told him, I says, well, did you, of course, my suggestion was you put dye in the tank and if it goes down in the bowl.
Yeah.
I did that. I said, did you do that? He said, there was a little bit in there. I said, did you listen to the water line? Like I told you to? No. I said, did you take a reading the night before and then do it first thing in the morning? No.
Well, you didn't help then.
Yeah.
So,
I understand the conversation, then it is the board's pleasure that a letter be written to the homeowner indicating that a test of the old pump was negative relative to an issue.
correct.
Deviation was very small, and that we're still concerned about the outstanding water bill.
I agree. Sounds good to me. It's a place to start anyway. I'm not saying it'll be the end, but it's a place to start.
Got a recommendation up to the board?
We need a motion in a
Sure.
second.
I'm wondering, do we need a motion
I
on
don't
that?
really think we do.
A recommendation coming up from the water board to write a letter to the
Okay.
homeowner.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Bob, please continue.
Let's see. I gotta start doing these lead service lines replacement now. Kept around all year last year, so that means I'm supposed to do 5 years, so I gotta do 10 this year to catch up. So you're gonna have to look at
How's our budget looking?
raising the water rate.
I'm thinking we're gonna have to sit down with that, Mark, and we're really gonna have to back that in there and see what we need to, what kind of money we need to raise to get to where we need to go. I don't think there's enough free money in the budget to handle that, and
It's not even close.
yeah, I mean, we were doing it in the past, but the problem is we haven't raised it to keep up, you know? So,
To interject something into the conversation, if I may, talking with Tracy and Krista, they're working on getting numbers for us prior to the June meeting based on conversation with Deb Bradford and what have you. Since we're talking about money, I'm sure the water system money is a part of that conversation as well.
Yeah.
So bringing it up now is that we're hopeful that as June begins, we're going to be in a much better position to move through the numbers and have some recommendations. We can start with the water system budgets because they're relatively easy compared to the township budget, and we
I
see the
guess,
kind of revenue
does this
there
thing
easily.
show us, is this from last year, does this show us? I guess I would, probably in the audit, but I would like to see the revenue versus,
Yeah.
you know, and see how we did in general.
Yeah, it'll be in the audit, but we won't get that till September, so,
Oh, that's too long.
yeah.
Oh, we got, I mean,
We gotta do it this
gotta get
year.
on the stick. I mean, like now.
Mhm.
That's why Chris's worksheet was inserted into the packet that shows last year's closeout at 205,000 in revenue. And we're looking at expenditures, and we're going to look at all of the numbers and what's been carried forward from previous years to the best extent possible.
Okay.
So we're in a little better position to have this discussion with numbers in front of us that are along the line you're suggesting, and we've been talking about at previous meetings. There was a slight delay, probably because of the extension of the timeline for filing of federal taxes for a second meeting to be set up with Deb Bradford. That's speculative on my part, but I know how busy they are at Montenegro at this time of the year. Hopefully we'll be meeting with her again in the very near future and be pushing numbers out that are accurate and appropriate for the discussions we're having.
Have we moved this account to its own? Making it its own account at Superior National Bank or anything like that? Have we separated the funds for this to a separate account yet?
The water?
Yeah.
The water's its own.
It's already got its own.
Correct.
It's not, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I know we were talking about it for some of these other things
Yeah.
too, you know, like the fire department.
It's had its own.
Okay, so we're good there.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're working on the others to just interject. Karen, anything else?
No.
Anybody else? Question or
No, he's
comment?
done.
I ain't done yet.
Well, I didn't say that. Didn't mean to imply that, Bob, was
You're asking
just
everybody
asking the
else.
board.
What the hell am
I keep on, everything you say I make last twice as long, Bob, so that's why I'm chuckling.
Please continue, Bob.
The water's on in both parks. So this is just information for you guys. Scott Lewis in Mason area is gonna be the first one hooked up. They're supposed to be hooking him up shortly, so the sewer system will be online then. What else did I have here? Well, I talked to, what's his name from Corn, Maine today, and I was asking about the price of copper. 1-inch copper is getting close to $7 a foot right now. So, I mean, it's just, he said he's stealing stuff from one project, if somebody needs it right away, to bring it to another project, and he had to come up all the way up to Minnesota to get pipe to deliver.
Keeps going like it is, we're gonna end up opening up our mines back up here.
The
It's getting bad.
Yeah. The only other thing, the truck is gonna be in for the body repairs on the 24th. Just a little tidbit here, 3M is suing the state of Michigan for drinking water limits for PFAS. Flawed, created through rushed and influential regulatory process, that's great.
We'll see where that goes.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen, nothing gonna happen, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, like I said, like I told you before, that PFAS limit that they said we had to test every quarter because they didn't have any limits. Well, then now they put them on, so we have to do it once a year, which is okay, but still. There's like 5 regulatory things in that PFAS that I have to test for. I mean, the freaking list is like this long for all the stuff that they test in that PFAS. And 5 of them are regulated. Like, that's enough for me.
I have a question.
Tracy?
We were talking about Mason. Does anybody know if the phone line's working down there?
No idea.
Do you know, Aaron? I haven't gotten a phone bill. There was supposed to be a phone line in the,
Oh, they don't have it hooked up yet.
it's not. They gave me a phone number and everything months ago,
Yeah,
and I've
no,
never gotten a bill.
they don't have the line hooked up.
Okay.
It's gotta come from across the highway down to that thing, and they haven't, then it's gonna be bored, so
Okay.
they still haven't done it. I
It's
thought
one
they
of
were
my
gonna-
2 a.m. thoughts, and it just,
I
when you
thought
said
they were
Mason,
gonna-
it,
I thought they were
Yeah.
gonna do it overhead, but they say no.
okay.
Let's get on that next
Mhm.
week.
So that thing is being brought online when? When is that guy supposed to be?
What, shortly, yeah, he didn't have a date.
When he was, that first guy's getting hooked up. when?
MGO was the one,
Doesn't have the exact date.
Scott Lewis is the one that allowed the line to go through his property.
Yeah,
So
I guess what I'm saying here is, guys are hooking up. You know, that
Get
part of
that
it,
done,
our
let's see,
controls
online.
portion of it should be,
Done.
we need to get there.
Right,
Yeah, and
Well, that retirement should be starting.
right,
Yeah,
right.
let me add this, I got a call earlier this evening from Jim Sira, who sends his apologies for not joining us tonight. I don't think he would mind me sharing as to why he's celebrating his wedding anniversary. And I said, I understand, and he did share with me both a desire to be present when lines are going in, and he offered to begin a picture file of the lines.
probably
So
should.
So he's going to start that. He and I are going to get together early next week, if not before the end of this week. He'll call me tomorrow or Friday at home if necessary. We're going to get together, but he did send best wishes to the board tonight, but excuse himself. I did remind him that we are meeting in Tamarack City on the 9th, and he's planning on being at that meeting in person. And we'll share updates relative to the sewer system in Mason. Also, in your packet this evening for the board meeting is the informational cover letter that we sent out, along with the information provided by UP Engineering to the residents in Mason. I think it went out a week ago tomorrow, did it not, on the 6th?
I believe so, yeah.
Krista got everything together. I'll put the letter that's in your packet together, and it went to all the residents via mail. It's dropped off Thursday morning. I believe they're there already, so they have the information. They have the meter is starting to run now that road restrictions were lifted on the 6th of May. So be talking with Jim, be talking with Mr. Koskanemi and others at UP Engineering as to timelines and what have you. So we'll do our best to stay on top of it during the installation.
So we're gonna have to like get the billing portion of this set up like ASAP. You know, we don't have anything entered. And then we never did figure out, are we gonna bill them monthly or bi-monthly still? That question's never been answered. And then if they write a check, this is just things I'm thinking of, if they write a check to pay their one water bill, the sewer is gonna have to go to the Mason, so we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna do that. Maybe run a report and write a check once every 2 weeks
2
or
a.m.
something,
thoughts.
yeah. So there's, you know,
Right.
we've got a lot of stuff we
Yeah.
gotta figure out
Yeah.
quick.
I know that they are, to stay with the topic for a moment, a number of them are planning on hiring a single general contractor and or plumber, meeting all the requirements to do multiple houses over the course of a very specific time period. They have from now until early August to complete that, to be in compliance with the ordinance. So you're right, we've got a lot to do internally, they have a lot to do externally. Jim is willing to be present for installations, and there are a number of requirements along the way in the directive that went out from this office with material from UP Engineering about who has to be present, who has to inspect, and what have you. All of that has been forwarded to them. There is a listing of the items in the letter in your packet.
So the billing thing is actually an interesting question, because it does pertain to the water, and in the respect that in order to bill, unless you were going to average it over the months that, you know, you're going off of water reading anyways. So if we're only doing water readings every other month, I fail to see how easy it would be to make a guess on the off month. You know what I'm saying? So this is kind of a thing here that we probably need to definitely put on the front burner as far as operation, because it's definitely going to affect, for change things, it's going to affect Bob. Otherwise, and my opinion is, I don't, other than the cost is sharp. Like if you look at Tamarack, if you were to bill bi-monthly for them, yeah,
It
and
doesn't
it's
be
not gonna be
huge.
any better here, because you're looking at a bi-monthly bill is gonna be $100 plus the water.
At least, yeah.
Well, the
So-
administrative costs are in the $63 to $65 a month range.
That's
so
what I'm
we're-
saying.
Yeah, we're
So I
talking.
mean, you're talking
125,
100 plus,
130.
plus the water, so you,
Yeah.
if you do it bi-monthly, it's gonna be, I think you're approaching a $200 bill.
At least that.
Yeah.
You know that, the nice part about that would be that I do Tamaracks monthly, and then when I'm coming back, just have a separate thing for Mason.
I mean, it's
As
almost
I'm
like we're
coming
gonna have to
through.
break that out a little bit.
I suspect,
You
yeah.
know, I mean, right now, we've been just operating as a, you know, but it's almost like that's gonna have to get broken out somehow. Just talking here, I
Well,
guess.
these are,
Um,
this is an excellent
No, I mean, we
discussion.
gotta-
and
I
These are
would-
things we would have
we gotta
discussed at
address
the board
that
meeting
ASAP.
anyway. So might as well do it
I
now.
don't think it's
important.
gonna be very long. I mean, you know, we might be here at our the next meeting we have in a month, and some of these people might already be going, I don't know.
Yeah,
And
So-
we, recollection is, again, interjecting myself into the conversation is, once the load limits were lifted, technically doesn't the meter begin running relative to the administrative fee? Or does it begin after they're hooked up?
Well, I think that it was when they're hooked up or 90 days, whatever,
Okay.
whichever.
Right.
So
I-
do we-
I don't know if
That's why I want to ask
Andy
the
or Jim or
question.
Emmett might be online here, but I'm under the impression that it's upon hookup or 90 days. you know.
so the first person that hooks up, they start paying or everybody? Just that
That's-
person?
that's-
I think it's
And
just.
then we
think it's
just
just
add
them,
people until we
but
hit
that-
90
I mean,
days. and then
it's
get everybody.
potentially possible to have somebody hooked up and then, you know, go through an entire water billing cycle
Yeah,
before
before
the
someone else-
final people actually get
Yeah.
on.
Mhm.
Okay,
I mean, there's gonna be a little bit of a mess there. you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
When it comes to,
That's
when
why
it
we
comes to
looked
the billing part, because, some people you're gonna take their water reading and you're gonna tack on a bill, and then some people would not.
right.
So, yeah. I don't know where the water reading ends up. And so, I mean, I'm actually of the opinion here that as much as I hate to suggest it, I'm almost thinking that Mason crew needs to go to a monthly billing.
Oh, I totally.
I don't see how we're gonna
agree.
get around it. Otherwise, you're gonna be, we're just asking for trouble if we keep kicking $200 bills at them all the time.
Well, that could be burdening to some of the people down there, you know?
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Yeah.
That's why Tamarack was done that way.
it's gonna be tough enough as 100.
Yeah.
I think we need to flush this out, make a decision by our June meeting.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
it absolutely needs to be
We've
done.
got to have this on the agenda for decision.
So I think it needs to be on this list here of
Yeah.
things to do.
Yeah.
You know, as a matter of fact, I have one of the things written down here. Are we gonna try to combine this board meeting, this advisory board into the utility board? Should the Mason Sewer be a part of this? We're talking, Osceola Township water meeting, maybe it should be Osceola Township utility meeting or something like that, at this point.
What we are.
No, this
meeting is
meeting
advisory,
right
yeah.
here, the event,
Instead of just being water, it should
It
be
should be-
advisory.
yeah, because it's still the township, but it's a separate, now we're gonna separate it even more, to be
Well,
honest.
if we want to, we could differentiate, we want to call it Dollar Bay Woodside Mason Water and Sewer. To bring
Could-
both into the discussion.
Could we get a member from Mason to sit on this
Well,
board?
don't do that.
I don't know, I
You
mean,
don't need another person.
I think that we're fine here operating as we are. I mean, we got a Tamarack person on a Osceola, on a Dollar Bay water meeting, but
I was,
don't think
I was
it-
on this board before I was on that one.
I'm just saying, actually, we got a couple of them. So I don't think it really matters that much. I think it's just the advisory portion of it,
And it's an advisory. The township board's gonna make the final decision anyway.
Great, it's just advisory at this point, yeah. I don't see any reason why those people can't come in here and during this meeting, if we make this the utility meeting, this is one of those places that they can come and speak up
Mhm.
during this meeting.
And they do, when they have
Well, I
something to
mean,
say.
if we make this not water meeting, but utility meeting,
Yeah.
then there's more likely that they'll be here,
Yeah,
you
true.
know, because we can deal with billing issues or whatever. in this
Yeah,
meeting,
yeah.
So-
We need to flush all this. out
So
before the
I had
June
that on my
meeting.
list. There's some other things here too. but- Okay.
Do we need to vote to make that change, or can we just make that
I'm not
change?
sure how that, I see, the problem is I don't know all the rules that are governing this advisory board here. I don't know all of what's that, and if there's anything,
Does this board have its own charter? or-
that's what I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
I think we need to look into how the board was created.
I do.
And then, come back with
I'm not
recommendations.
saying we
how
can't
to-
change it and
Oh, no,
and
we
fix
can't,
it,
yeah.
you know, I mean, just, we probably should attempt to do it the right way anyways.
It's an advisory, but I don't think it's structured the same way the one is in Tamarack City relative to paperwork. So we need to
Mhm.
look at what's in Tamarack City, see what would apply here perhaps, look at how we were set up originally, and then look at the most practical and feasible and practical way to bring about to expand the role of this advisory and become more inclusive in the process. Given that we're talking seriously about adding the sewer
Yeah.
system to this advisory's.
I'm just throwing it out there. I have a hard time, if we have these water boards for the water, and now we're gonna have a sewer system, and I feel like, are we gonna leave that out or what, you know? So, yeah, okay.
Like in the Tamarack water system, when that was set up, in that charter, in the original documents, it says there will be an advisory board.
Right.
Does it say anything like that in the Mason document?
Not that I've discovered, but I have not, in all seriousness, gone back through the paperwork to look at how
That's
this
the only thing I would
advisory
check.
came in.
And to be honest, I don't think this water board, in all the water ordinances, I don't recall anything about it saying anything about this one either.
Yeah, I know the Tamarack one states.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, that one,
This one's always been here.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably been here for
Oh, better.
forever,
ever. Yeah.
since the township was built.
If I may offer, I'll
water.
do some digging and
Yeah.
have the
Yeah.
That's a
information
start.
out to you as
That's a
quickly.
start. Let's
Yeah.
see what we can find.
Good discussion.
Okay.
Anything else? Bob? Anyone else?
Oh, yeah, it was done.
I'm not done.
Well,
You're done.
Nope, I got a couple things more here.
do you want to bring them up right now?
Yeah, we still need to talk about the water line coverage area and maybe go visit that MDOT right away stuff. I know I brought that up before. Let's see here, what about the beam for the building down at have we decided what we're doing there, or?
I need one.
I know you need one, it's a water board, this is definitely a water board thing.
Hasn't this come up before?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all design and stuff like that, I'm just, were we gonna act on it, or what are we
Well,
gonna do?
that's,
I know you have pictures of it, and everything.
It's designed, it's not, it's designed, all it has to be is, I'm assuming, did we decide that we were gonna wait until we know the budget better here, is that what we decided? How did?
I'm trying to recall, in all honesty, I can't.
Okay, well, I'm willing to wait to see, obviously, we're gonna look at the budget a little bit for the water services now. You know, maybe this can come up in that part too.
Let's add it to the agenda relative to the budget for the Dollar Bay Woodside Mason system for our June meeting.
Okay,
Do we have the paperwork with the dollar, like, I'm sure it's in an
We've got
old
the
There's no
packet,
dollar
but,
mark. No, we would have to go to a contractor or somebody and get somebody. to
oh,
give us-
something official,
Yeah,
okay,
Yeah,
that's what it is. We need
we're
this.
not at a point here, well, we need to move forward with it.
Yeah,
if we're gonna
right.
Get it done. you
Right.
know? So, just reminding
Yep.
that it's out there and it's needed.
and good luck, cause everybody's busier
I
than
know,
heck right
we might
now.
have already, stepped on our own foot here a little bit by,
Waiting.
waiting, but
Mhm.
we do need to know financial situations, so.
Yeah.
We'll continue to pursue it. I think that was a recommendation made up to the board. We'll act upon the original recommendation and amplify it with tonight's comments.
I have one other thing, but I'll bring it up in the regular meeting, so.
Moving off of the water operator's report to the secretary's report, it is in your packet.
She did have a couple things on the third page.
Please, Krista.
For us to talk, well, actually, there's a few things to consider, but she had talked about the water debt. There was somebody who had wanted the water, her water to be shut off, and Bob couldn't get to the shut off. So they knew that he couldn't get to it, but they wanted to just pay the water debt. Our practice has been, if the water's on, the potential for them to use it is there. So they've always been charged as the flat rate. But there's also been times where people came back, when the water got turned on, you'll see when there's a read and you can easily toggle it off of the water debt and charge them a water bill. So do they actually need to be turned off in order to only pay water debt? I mean, if they're getting zeros and they've requested it, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know if it states specifically in the ordinance or what the deal is.
The only reason that I think you're turning somebody off, that's not here,
Mhm,
is a safety precaution for us and them.
mhm.
Because
You don't wanna break it in the winter time.
you don't wanna break in the wintertime when nobody's there, and they're gone in Florida, and most people don't have the warning system to tell them that their basement is half full of water.
Right.
Or whatever, So from people that aren't here, I mean, when we're doing snowbird stuff, typically, I feel they should be shut off. Because there's nobody there to watch it.
Right.
Crazy
What
things
about- I
happen,
mean-
like people all of a sudden have 100,000 gallons and.
Well,
just-
no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, but
Right.
when you're not here and you can't see it, I mean, my parents shut their water off when they're gone for 2 weeks. you
Yeah.
know? I mean, that's just the way it is. They just go on and flip it out, but for us to do that, we're ensuring, not only that, some of these services have leaks in them already anyways. So just because it's not at the meter, doesn't necessarily mean it's not there.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that the snowbirds ones are not decent services. I don't know. I'd have to talk with Bob and see which ones are which, but
Mhm.
that's another thing too, is they got some holy services out there.
Right.
Just wasting water for no good reason.
Mhm. And I mean, that's been the practice before. It had to be off.
Right,
then
I
you
mean,
got
you got
charged.
frost, like anything could happen in the wintertime, or it's, and Bob's not, if you're gonna ask him to shut it off in the middle of winter because something does happen,
Mhm.
it becomes very hard, he's
Yeah.
gotta go out there and try to heat the ground with the.
Right.
It becomes very hard to try to get to that valve,
Right.
a lot of times, so. Does that answer the question? Am I
Yeah.
Doing it, is
Yeah,
there more,
yeah,
is
yeah.
there more to the question than that? I definitely get you, if they're having zeros, I mean, why are we going through the exercise? But if it's not a snowbird situation, even if it's not, I just don't like it. I don't like something that's not being watched.
Yeah, okay. The next one she talked about was Richie's February water bill. It was 230,000 gallons, so this would have been December and January. Bob had double checked the read and it was registering correctly. And then they found out there had been a toilet running and was fixed. He's called it, the current bill for those is over $1,600. But he's saying that there's no way that he used that much water from the running toilet, but he already said he's not paying it. So
How can you not pay it?
what, that's kind of, well, he's saying there's no way that leak caused that, but
There was a leak somewhere. Maybe
Yeah,
But
he knew it.
even
He-
admitted it'll leak.
yeah, he admitted it. He said there was a leak.
I mean, it's amazing how much water you can use on those leaks.
know.
It's not something that these people should, it's just, if you hear your toilet and it's got a leak over there, it's serious.
Mhm.
These people just treat it like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal.
Mhm.
Especially
And it's
if
gonna cost you money, and I don't know how to impress upon these people that,
been running for almost 2 months.
Yeah, I
Several
mean-
weeks and a few days. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a hell of a lot of water with a running toilet.
Mhm.
and it's not free for us.
Right.
The way it was is the renter up there did the same thing. Toilets leak, going down to a room that's off of his, how would I say it, his hallway to get out the back door. And it's leaking down there and it's just running right down into the basement. So, I mean, he didn't know about it. All of a sudden, what clued him in, he could smell it moldy in that room, so he went in there and checked, and the wall was all rotten, and all black.
Sounds like he owes us money, it's not our fault.
I mean, I feel bad about it, but I mean, I don't know what to say. Do you ask the rest of the community to buck up for him? Is that what we're doing here? That doesn't seem right, you know?
That'd be great,
Yeah, it's not free. That doesn't seem right either. I don't know.
Are we interested in asking him for an offer?
Not really.
I don't even know
Right.
if we should negotiate with him. because
Well, that's why I'm raising the question.
I mean, if,
It's
if it
fault.
was his renter's fault, then he should go after them,
Right.
you know, not us. It's,
That's the point, but is the renter still in the building?
Yeah.
All right, well then, he really has.
Does
He has
that
recourse.
renter have a separate meter?
And we hold owners responsible for the
We
water.
That's
for the
why we
renters.
have it in their bills, you know, I mean, it's.
Yeah,
If he
Well,
doesn't
he
believe
had-
that, we can do the same thing, Mark, we can pull that meter and test it. When I pull it, I'll put a new meter in there to start with, so.
I don't think that you have any choice. I think you do have to
Yep.
test it and say the meter is functioning properly. We have to do our due diligence first, I'd say.
that's
For
an
sure.
excellent point, picking up if I may.
Yeah.
We'll test the meter. If the meter tests, we'll write a letter indicating that. we
same
ran
to
the
the
test,
other
it's fine,
situation.
And that
Yeah.
this is an issue between the landlord and the tenant relative to the water running. It's not an issue at the township level because we met all of our obligations. I provided water to the premise. The meter, if assuming it tests correctly, the meter was tested, it is within an allowable deviation. The bill stands, we're willing to hear your side, but this is really an issue you need to take up with your renter.
Mhm.
I agree.
Is that
I mean,
acceptable?
lack of
Yeah.
maintenance is not an okay reason to dump out on $1,000 bill. or
Just one
whatever.
other point, if they don't believe us, I meant to ask Eric about that today. If we could send a meter in and have it tested.
That's just as good. We can
And
get a
then we
report
can-
on it and then we can
And
just say,
then,
this is-
but that person has to be willing to pay for that. I'm not gonna send a meter in and then we gotta pay for it.
well, we could add that to it.
Let's test it ourselves first to see
Say,
if it.
and then we could say, if you're not, don't like our test, then your next option is you can pay to have this meter tested.
Mhm.
That's a good,
Mhm.
so we take it's a two-tiered process.
Through the-
We'll
through the
test it.
Company, the census
I agree.
company.
Yep.
If he wants to contest our findings from the testing, he's more than welcome to do it. Here's the meter. It's on your expense. And
I think we need to start there before we
Yeah.
get into a fight. Because it sounds like he's just putting his foot down and eventually we're gonna have to put ours down too. So
somebody
we-
owes this money.
We
for
we better make sure we got our ducks in a row before we put our foot down.
water. We got a plan of action. Is that acceptable, to everyone? Aaron, anything else?
No, but I do. She had two more things.
No,
I did have one more question at this last thing here, so yeah.
Do you want to ask your question first?
Well, I mean, it's not on our. It's not on the
Already been paid.
agenda.
No, it just was informational.
It was-
It's already been paid, it's already.
This got paid already.
Yep,
The school
they
paid
sent
for it.
Paid-
Just
paid and deposited.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. all right.
Yeah.
Yep, done.
So
That was the
taken
only
care
thing.
of.
That was the
I mean,
invoice that went
That
to the
was
school for.
Yeah.
Did they put any fuss up or anything? or-
No.
No.
Well, they got a heads up. Bob shared with me, suggested I talked with, Mrs. Norland,
Mhm.
explained the situation. She said, would you send us a cover letter and an invoice? So we followed Bob's lead,
Yep.
put the invoice,
Yeah,
put a
they
cover letter
paid
on
it
it, and
right
the school
away.
paid the bill.
It's already in the bank.
Okay.
Yep.
You could do.
Okay, so the
Has
next
anything else?
one, yep, she has a property on Spruce Street in Tamarack City. Nobody's lived there since 2016. In May, it registered a usage of 104,900 gallons. She put a work order for Bob. He went up there and a pipe had burst inside the house. And I
There you go.
don't know if the owner, yeah, there you go. I don't know if the owner, anyway, it was a question to see if there's any possibility for relief for this person.
I mean, it sounds like we are gonna have to talk about that part of it, as much as I wanna be a
But
hardline person, but
We're kind of in, is that Zach's house? That Zach on a corner down for me, is that 21710?
Oh, no, Place,
Oh, across the street from me.
Shirley Place, yeah.
so that's a Tamarack one.
Yes.
This is the thing I'm talking about, though. When people aren't home, bad things, you'd be surprised.
Well, no one has been, yeah, no one's lived in that house.
Yeah,
but
so-
there is somebody that
Since
checks on that house.
16.
No, no winter.
No, I suppose it probably are going in it. But there again, it. I don't know,
That should've been-
we can't say negligence matters here, but it doesn't matter there.
Right.
I hear you. This is tough. This is tough. I feel bad for these people. I do. I just don't like that we're just gonna start forgiving hundreds of thousands of
Yeah, you
gallons.
can't.
I-
You know, you're
Well-
thinking about that, the sad part about that one is, if you were to read it every 2 months, oh my God,
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
you know,
That would have been way worse.
We've probably noticed it by now, we've probably been losing.
Yeah,
all the
because of
basement.
it, you'd have an ice rink in the front yard in the winter time.
Mhm.
It's coming out the basement window and flooding.
going out the back.
I don't
How
know
are
what
we
to
going
do
to
with that.
proceed here, people, with the Tamarack City one? What are your ideas or thoughts?
Can we take
can't
take
see
some
how we
time
do
to
this.
think about this for a month, just to see if there's any workaround? Like, we can take time to think about it and reconvene this issue?
Have they've asked for relief.
All it says is there was suggestion to bring this to the board for any possible water relief. So I don't know if they specifically asked or,
Let's find that out, and if they've asked for relief,
I mean, that's something, if that's what they're requesting, I mean, we have to, that's different than saying, I'm not paying. That's a different statement. And,
Yes, but
it means the same thing, but it's a different way of approaching it.
Yeah,
We have to legitimately discuss.
Well, then I think,
I think
let's
we
put
need
the
to think about it for a month, because I can't. We tried so hard to get these two water systems alike.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it's okay to burst the pipe in Tamarack, but it's not here.
I
You know what
agree.
Or
mean?
vice versa.
Or
I
vice versa.
agree.
Well, then,
So I
let's
think
put
we
the
need to
onus
think
back
about it
onto
for
the
one
owner again and ask them, they're asking for consideration of relief, but they haven't provided us what they mean by relief.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
They're
think we
putting,
need to
so
ask
let's
them. I don't know
ask
how to
them
do
what
that.
they mean, by relief. You're
Did that.
seeking relief from us.
yeah,
What are you specifically asking
Yeah.
for? Forgiveness, that you pay a portion, that you pay over time? We want your input on that.
yeah.
But we're willing to look at options like paying overtime.
Well, we
have
do
to pay for
offer that.
Let's-
We offer that.
I can, yeah.
Let's kick the
Okay.
ball back to them.
Just food for thought, though, we had one house that was empty. The lady wasn't living here, and her water bill was sky high, and you guys
Did we really?
In Tamarack or here?
forgave it.
When was
I
this?
can't hear that on Zoom. Could Bob repeat that?
I can't. Whose was it?
Who was it,
Lillian
Bob?
Carrion. In the corner. of
I don't
six.
recall this.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Only reason I know is cleaning up the system and I came across the comment.
So now I'm gonna be more careful.
Well, different time,
Yeah.
different context. Let's,
Yeah.
we have an
Yeah.
idea about asking what they mean by relief.
Yeah,
We're looking at all kinds of things. We might as well look at this and see what they mean.
yeah,
And if they're willing to say, look, we're willing to pay it, but we can't pay it all at once.
Yeah.
We'll say, then your relief is you got 12 months.
Yeah.
Pay the bill. And
yeah.
let's
No,
see
I
what
agree.
their-
Let's start
what
a
their
dialogue
offer
with
is.
them and see
Mhm.
how it goes.
But Bob does raise a valuable point about precedent
It is valuable.
apparently being set. So we need to look at that too, because if
We've
we're
done
gonna
it once,
change.
it's hard not to do it.
Well,
And
Right.
I
and
think-
I also want
I
to add, that
think
isn't
part
the
of-
first time that's happened either.
I think part of this
Yeah,
though
it's
is
not like
that
we're
we've gone
troublemakers.
through a number of changes with our water ordinances and, you know, we've also had to change things like the freeze thaw policy
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah,
like that too, you
let
know, I
Ron
mean,
in.
things have had to change.
Yeah.
You know, and,
Well, it got to be too costly for the township. I
yeah,
mean,
so, I mean, things have been updated, things have been changed. We're trying to do the right thing by the water companies,
mhm.
departments, whatever. All right,
Okay, one more thing, and Don, you might be able to give me better insight on this. There was a fire at a property in Tamarack City.
Yep.
The water has been shut off. The house is deemed unlivable. We don't remember, because there was that fire by you, I believe, right? A few,
Well,
many
that
years
became a
ago.
Vacant lot.
Okay.
In our township, or in our water ordinance,
Mhm.
it says an empty vacant lot does not have
Right,
to charge. for-
Okay, so even if there's a house that's not livable, they still
We don't-
should
I
be
don't think that's
charged?
described.
Okay,
An unlivable house, I don't think is listed there.
okay, so the water debt should continue to be
I
charged to
think so.
that property.
I don't think, until there's,
Service is still there, the house is still there,
Right,
and the house is gone, and it's.
and he's
that's
getting,
the only way to get out of the water bill is to remove the structure.
Yeah.
he's getting insurance for the house, so.
Yeah, okay.
I can't see.
I couldn't remember what the situation with that other house was,
Yeah,
so
okay.
she put in there, okay.
One more thing before we go, we have to consider about this 104,000 gallons. Is there a sewer charge on top of that?
Yes,
Okay,
Every gallon.
100%, yes, and we have to pay that.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
probably did pay it.
Oh, I'm sure it's paid already, yeah. That's a big
That's all
yes.
it's been-
That's a good
So
consideration.
that has to be taken into account.
Definitely,
The residents of Tamarack should
definitely,
be paid
yeah.
Don, good point.
Yeah,
Can't forget about that stuff. either.
no. Wow.
Really good discussion, people. Anything else on these topics?
This has been a long meeting for a water board.
Well, we spilled over into the full board meeting too with a lot of stuff, so we can.
We're way past our 15-minute allotment here.
And with that in mind, is there anything else on any of these topics before we move on to item number 9, unfinished business?
No.
Hearing none, item 9, unfinished business, there is nothing there. We dealt with a lot of it in our previous discussion.
Yeah.
Nothing under unfinished business. Item number 10, new business. Several items from our evening's discussion will be new business at our next meeting, but nothing specific tonight. Before I call for public comment one more time, is there anything else that anyone on the board or present would like to bring up as an agenda item?
No.
Hearing none, before I call for a motion to adjourn, there's one more opportunity for participants with our meeting tonight to offer comment to the board. We will open up public comment at this time for anyone interested in offering remarks for the board's consideration. You will have up to 3 minutes. Please identify yourself when you begin to speak.
Mark, this is Kristen, and I would like to address the board.
You have up to 3 minutes, Kristen.
Okay, thank you. I thought that the discussion on the water leaks was interesting, and I wanted to add a few points to it based on a personal experience. One, the first point that I want to ask is, could there be an education or opportunity to educate consumers on the possibility of water leaks? Because they can be very expensive and very painful for whoever's going to be paying them. Perhaps in the newsletter, perhaps something that gets added to the water bill. I know there's not a lot of space on that, but it is a real risk. So I'd be very supportive of educating the whole community about that possibility so that they don't have to experience it for themselves. I had a, go ahead.
Especially for people like yourself, where you have you're in you have a tenant landowner type
Yes,
situation where the risk there is obviously, you know, hopefully from hearing this, you can hear some of the pitfalls here, but there's definitely, and this is not counting against your time or anything here. I think that this is a good point.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely, especially for there's a lot of rental units in our community
Yeah.
here. Then, and we've made the move to force the owner to be responsible, which I still think is the right thing. But in that, there's the risk now that tenant doesn't care, you know.
We could do like a mini campaign kind of a thing where we just sort of paper the community, add it to the website with all the tips Bob gives. And we had something a while back. It's probably still here. You know, we
Okay.
can put
Yeah.
something
Maybe
together.
we can refresh that out a
Yeah.
little. I had one. No, you go ahead. You go ahead. That's all. Sorry.
Anybody else have a comment on?
yeah.
No, it's done.
I know, I'm about to, Kristen, you're back on for
Thank you.
public comment. You have 2
Yeah.
minutes.
thank you. And Aaron, that was fine to pipe in. It is an exposure as a landlord. I want to say that from a personal experience as a homeowner, I had the same thing happen to me. in Florida, and I want to briefly share what they did as feedback for the board. I had a water leak, which was just a toilet run, and I had no idea this could happen, but it ran for 2 days. I wasn't staying here at the time, and so I had flushed the toilet and then left and come back the next day, and it was running. It was over a $200 bill just for that time. Now, they were able to isolate it to the exact time, you know, because of the electronics here. But here's the thing, what they did was they made me do a petition, and they had a process for it. And they said that I could request relief, and I needed to provide any proof or explanation and make sure that that was the reason and that it was addressed. I had to make sure that I verified that it was addressed, which I did via explanation. And then what they did was they made a modest adjustment. So I still had to pay the majority of the bill, but they made a modest adjustment. I don't know if it was $50 or something. I still paid over $200, and it was a learning experience. So I just wanted to share that as something that, you know, another way that another city handles it. And I liked the ideas of one was you kind of started talking about the payment plan and making sure to offer that, but then having a policy of any kind that just has a one paragraph or a page that gets put up on the website somewhere that shows people, hey, here's the steps of what you do. That way it would feel fair for everyone, you know, if they come upon that situation. So I really think it's a real issue. I'm glad the board is looking at it. It isn't fair for total relief, but at least if there can be, I'm going over now, so I'll finish, but those are my thoughts on it.
I appreciate your comment. I actually like it. It seems, I do think we need to check into this more. That's part of what I was with the month here. I was thinking that we can try to talk to some other places and see what there is. We may have to look into modifying our ordinance, you know, to providing a vehicle to take care of this situation. We're talking about 3 instances right here, right now. I mean, it's not like an isolated one-time thing. It obviously happens.
And I think,
So,
do you remember when I don't know, TV6 had that thing a while back when it happened in Ishpeming? Do you remember that? It was a couple of years ago now, but
that was a bad one though.
theirs
That
is
was-
really bad. Yeah, I mean,
those are-
theirs is like many $1,000s, but
Yeah.
so it does happen in other communities, and they've got to have a way to deal with it so we can kind of contact others
I
and
mean,
see,
we're people too, and I know how I'd feel if it happened to me.
right?
And, you know, I mean,
Right.
yeah, so, okay.
Kristen, thank you for your comments.
You're welcome.
Anyone
Mark, I just
else
wanna
with comment?
Can I close just by saying that they did put it on me to do the requesting for the relief? You know, I had to write things, you know, I had to take steps. It wasn't just automatic. So, and that was fair enough. And I was pretty motivated to request that relief.
I liked it, and I liked the part about
Prove
Make
it was fixed.
yes,
Yes,
that's the part
that's
that I
the
like.
part
And
that
then
I
we
like.
give a little reward for making sure that they went through it and proved that it was fixed. You
Yep.
know, I mean, I like that part.
I do too.
I do like that part.
And you
No,
can bet
so-
they'll be telling their neighbors as well, so that their neighbors don't do it either, right? Yeah.
That
Right.
won't take long, yeah.
That was the part that stuck out to me
That's
too.
when she said it, that's the thing that I caught
Me
right
too.
there. Is the one that I liked, yeah.
Thank you very much for the feedback. Is there anything else from anybody else? Hearing none, thank you everyone for participating with tonight's water board meeting. A motion to adjourn is in order. Mr. Jenke,
I'll support.
Ms. Gardner supports. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We stand adjourned. Note the time. And we'll take a 4-minute break before we convene the
Okay.
township board meeting.
They're still
The
making.
water department's eating that.
Yep.
Which is basically,
You know, we're meeting
And the
for,
sewer's still making their money. And we're
yeah,
still.
they're getting out of scot-free.
Again.
just remind everyone, we are live here still. So.
It's
Yeah,
Oh,
points are well made. And I know
Yeah.
Tracy was taking rather specific notes about the ideas both from the public and from the board. So we got
it was good. It
Yeah.
was good.
good discussion.
Every once in a while, you gotta have a water board meeting like that.
We
We just can't do it all the time.
We should put it this way, if the water board meeting didn't last an hour, or township meeting didn't last an hour.
Well, it would have been the
it's
same stuff in the
that came
tank.
up.
It would have come up.
Yeah.
Well, we've done, yeah, now we
Would've come
have
up.
issues that we've already moved through
Yeah.
and we'll alert to and we can act upon. But I like what you just said. We should have an annual joint water board meeting.
The other thing I did bring up that I had on my list was I I still wanted to see if there's gonna be action, maybe it's just you and Bob and me or our group. We talk about, are we still gonna do nothing about bringing water over to Sandy Run? So is that just a completely dead issue, or I just throwing that out there for some discussion, you know what I mean? There's that too.
It's not a bad idea if you want the money to do it. It's
I'm just,
expensive.
if we're gonna start looking at the rates, maybe that's a public thing, you know, so, I mean, maybe we need to include whatever that is, or maybe we make that a part of of this water project we've been talking about. You know?
Or we look at let's see what the parameters are relative to the COVID-19 relief package allocation to the townships. We
Yes,
don't
that's
have
one- that's-
guidance yet from the state, but there
That's
is.
one place where there's going to be a chunk of funding that's gonna be a one-time chunk, you know, that's not recurring funding that maybe
No.
we can use, boy, but we got a lot of places we could put it, you know, there ain't no two ways about that.
But it's a nice
I mean, the
problem to
schools are
have.
salivating over it right now too. The
Oh, yeah.
schools,
Well,
the
there's
schools
almost
are,
180,000 in there.
yeah, the schools are
Well,
getting
we don't-
more.
yeah.
The schools,
Oh, yeah.
like Hancock's, like in the million, I think, you know, I mean, their funding for this is extensive. You know, it's not just like.
The figures are the best estimate, they're preliminary, and as of the most recent MTA guidance, they don't have it yet.
Okay.
They're hopeful of having it this week.
That line is.
Are we ready to reconvene?
Almost, Tracy's.
Okay. All right.
I was thinking the other
Something that's
benefit
benefit the
for,
public.
because we
We
specifically
definitely need to.
put the water ordinance together, you know, so that it was the same between the two. So it would be good if we could all have this discussion together, you know, because I mean, it's nice having Don, it's nice
I
having you,
feel
because
like-
you guys see it from a different perspective, because your billing is different than ours, but
The conversation we were having around the table while you were out,
It's not fair.
dealt with having a joint meeting as early as next month.
whoop, hey, that'd be fun. Okay,
That was-
so they would just come down to our meeting instead of the
Actually, no,
week
we would
before?
go, this
Go to
would
their
come to
meeting?
theirs on the second,
Oh, okay,
because it's in Tamarack City.
that would be
and then-
nice, because then it would
we would have
shorten
a
it.
joint water board meeting conceivably on the second,
Yeah,
and then just a township board meeting on the ninth.
okay, that
So
would be
how would
good.
we do that? Would we just like do our water board meeting and then their water board meeting and then somewhere in the middle discuss about
Well,
some of the joint stuff? Is that
The
how
thing
we're
is, I
thinking?
think
or-
we're gonna meet together. To me, we would meet on that Wednesday.
Yeah.
Get this stuff taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we still have our water board meeting before the township meeting.
Oh, okay, so we,
Oh, I was thinking that you were just gonna take this water board meeting.
Oh, that's what I thought too.
No, I don't think we should do
And
that.
just do them.
maybe the answer is we hold our regular meeting from, say, 6 to 6:30, have a joint meeting from 6:30 to 7:30,
Right, and then have.
and then have the okay. that's a-
Maybe
that's a
should we
good
put that on this? Should we put this on this agenda here? Is that something we should?
idea. Add it to the agenda as a part of the report coming up from the water board.
Just do
Have a
the,
joint meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
just do it under the report stuff
Yeah.
section, so I'll. do a little thing here.
Mark,
We're all ready to convene.
Mark?
Yeah.
before you start the meeting, I want to make one comment to another attendee. Horst, you do not have your mute on. I'm not sure if you know it, but we can hear you at times. You just coughed. Are you aware that you don't have your mute on?
Well, thanks for reminding me, but I figure all the other noise you guys were making during the break.
Oh, yeah. It's fine when everybody's talking, but during the meeting, if you didn't know, I just wanted to mention
No,
it.
but I appreciate it.
You bet. Okay, that's it.
Is everyone here ready?
Yep.
We'll call the Osceola Township Board meeting to order. Roll call, please, Ms. Hool.
Mr. Jenke,
I'm still here.
Mr. Wareham,
I'm sleeping, I'm here.
Ms. Gardner,
Here.
Mr. Osceola,
Here.
and I'm here.
Full board is present. The next item on our proposed agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Those present, please rise and face the flag. Those at home or listening in some other manner or other location, please join us for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Next item on our proposed agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Gardner, is there support for the motion?
Support it.
Mr. Wareham.
Can I,
We have a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Are there any additions, deletions, corrections to the agenda as presented?
New business, B, mill site in Tamarack City. The mill site.
shoot, we talked about that last meeting, so is that really new business?
Well, I don't think we talked about this.
Oh, this is something totally new.
Mill site in Tamarack City is added under new business.
Oh,
as
that's
item B.
TC, never mind, we were talking about the Mason.
Yeah.
Did anything come of that? Is that on here still? No, it's not.
Anything,
Yeah, website, I'd like to put website, just a discussion, yeah,
website,
Under new?
under
under
new,
new, yes, please.
adding mill site in Tamarack City and website as C. Any other additions?
Where did we add the water discussion? Where did you put that?
That would be under the
We're gonna put it with the reports
Yeah.
under, yeah, report section, under Tamarack City Utility Board maybe, or I don't know how you want to do
Somewhere
it.
in there, yeah.
Okay.
That's probably a good spot.
Want that under Tamarack Utility Board, the joint meeting?
See, that one's actually called Utility Board.
I didn't say that before.
Anything else? Hearing none, we have a motion and support for the agenda. Do we have motion and support from the same individuals to recommend the agenda as amended?
Yes.
And from the support?
Yep.
No, that was.
Who is the
Don.
supporter?
Don.
Don was the
Oh,
supporter.
yes, yes.
So we have a motion and support to approve
forgot.
the agenda as amended. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. We have an agenda amended for tonight's meeting. Next item on our agenda are approval of the minutes from the April 14, 2021 board meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
almost.
Ms. Hool moves. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Mr. Wareham supports. We have a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Are there any recommended deletions, corrections, additions to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes as presented for the April 14th, 2021 meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 6, financial reports. You have in your packet reports, general fund, road fund, Mason wastewater fund, Tamarack City water, and Osceola Township fund.
I was just gonna comment, we had kind of talked about it in the water meeting, and I know Tracy mentioned it at last month's meeting that we had met with Deb Bradford, but we're working on, Tracy and I are working on, the state of Michigan just rolled out a new chart of accounts, and we have to change the things in our system to comply by 2023. They prefer it by early 2022. With the meeting we had with Deb, I think we're like ahead of the game, because we clarified some of that stuff. So we're looking at making it more concise, understandable, you know, what we've been discussing. We're just not there yet.
And our budget is not in for the general fund right now. So if you look at the general fund,
Mhm.
profit and loss budget versus actual, it is not done.
With
Just
that
an
additional
FYI.
information,
Yeah.
financial reports for the aforementioned entities, we have a motion to accept the financial reports.
I'll make the motion.
Gardner moves. Is there support for the motion to accept the financial reports?
Support.
Mr. Jenke? Are there any additional questions, comments, concerns about the financial reports? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to accept the financial reports, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item 7, approval of payment of bills. General fund, road fund, Mason fund, TC water, and Osceola Township water. Is there a motion to accept the payment of bills as presented?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Hool. Is there support?
I'll support.
Ms. Gardner, Are there any questions, comments, concerns, recommendations relative to approving the payment of the bills, general fund, road fund, Mason fund, TC Water, Osceola Township Water? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Right?
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is public comment. Any individual wishing to comment to the board will have up to 3 minutes. We would ask that you identify yourself. And the 3 minutes will begin when you begin talking. Is anyone participating with tonight's meeting interested in offering comment for the board's consideration?
Mark, this is Kristen. I have something.
Kristen, the floor is yours for up to 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. This one is short at the beginning. Just a couple of quick things. One of them is on the website, there's a spring cleanup notice posted on the website and dates. And it could be helpful to denote the areas of where that cleanup would be. There was some comment in our Facebook group about the location for the last cleanup and specifying that. So it could be helpful to denote those locations. Second question is on, or second item is on the Monday special meeting for the maintenance person, will that be available via Zoom? That was not specified in the meeting request that I got. And I had something else on my mind that I didn't write down, so I'll catch you up at the end. Thank you.
Welcome. Anybody else that would like to offer comment to the board at this time? Hearing none, we'll close public comment at this time. There will be a second opportunity at the end of the meeting before we adjourn. Please note the time is full. Reports. Assessor's report, I do not believe one arrived.
No.
Our assessor was here on Monday for a short period of time and did meet with residents.
And I missed her.
Pardon?
I missed her. I had no idea.
And she had hoped to get a report up to us prior to the meeting. A footnote, there was a family emergency that took her out of the area for a period of time. I just wanted to pass that general comment on for your information. She's back in the area and will probably provide a report for recent activities plus whatever takes place between now and the next meeting for our June meeting.
We'll be, just to like fill in, she'll be providing me with the information, and the multipliers from the county should be coming so we can do the L40 29s, and tax season starts again next month. So, yay.
In your packet, we have a brief report relative to maintenance. There's also a request that I have. We have 2 candidates that have applied for the maintenance position. It is my suggestion that we hold the meeting on Monday over the noon hour to interview the 2 candidates. That will require discussion by the board. It's acceptable. And then if there's any additional comment people would like to add relative to the interviews being scheduled for Monday. Anybody have any questions, comments, or things they'd like to bring to the board's attention on this issue?
I see we have this, this is item C under unfinished business, so I can probably talk there too.
Yeah.
But I mean, about looking at the option of just, you know, I know who one of the, obviously we know who one of them is, and maybe we can do is look at that summer help option that I had brought up, you know, and I don't think I'll be able to be there for that meeting because of who is going to be one of the applicants is. So I'll probably be abstaining from that meeting. So I'm just throwing that out there.
And
now.
the summer help option was discussed
Right.
separately outside of your thoughts, so.
Yeah, so I guess
Do you think that candidate would be willing to be like an assistant to a full-time candidate who's gonna be hired all year?
you know, that's something you're gonna have to talk to him about.
Okay.
Yeah, I I just told him that there was, nobody applied and we need somebody, and so he threw his application,
Yeah.
you know, does he need the work? Yeah, he does, you know, but, I think those are questions that I think are viable to put on your list when you.
I had
when
the
you
same
guys-
question,
When you guys are, you know, when you guys are talking to him, and,
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, right? You know,
Right.
So,
We have some very solid ideas. We have
okay,
2 candidates that did apply.
Mhm.
We have one member of the board who will not be present, and he has stated his reasons as to why. He's offered a suggestion that we have discussed at other times amongst ourselves about the work that needs to be done and the possibility of some type of assistant. And it's my understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, that there was a time that there was an assistant.
Yes.
Maintenance.
There's
person.
always been a backup. yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
that's
but there
what-
was a time when Backman was the maintenance guy, that he had a guy that would,
Bob Campione.
Did his other
yeah,
stuff.
that would, they teamed up
Yep.
and they did stuff, you know, and
Yep.
it was more than just like once a year. It was,
Oh, yeah.
he was out there quite a bit. too,
Definitely,
you
big
know.
chunk of the summer.
So when we had Campione, it's not like he came out of nowhere. He
Mhm.
kind of just, you know, he was already in our system doing.
And
that
then
stuff,
his
you know.
son,
It's one of
was
our
his
meetings
backup,
inside,
Yeah.
and they did stuff together.
Yeah, so
So-
this is not new, it's just
There
that
is
we haven't
precedent
had
for
it,
it.
yes, we just haven't had it recently, you know, so.
Well,
I
there
think
is-
one of the things that you do with this summer help option, which I'm talking about, is we need to come to an agreement, like, yeah, how, you know, I mean, you can back hours out of it, but let's say, you know, we have some of this money that we've set aside for parks and stuff like that, and say, well, we want to do this and this and this, like set up the bleachers like you were talking about, and stuff like that. You know, let's set aside a figure for that summer help, and that's just the hours that there is.
Mhm.
You know, something along those lines, you know, so that, you know, and then we can do that year to year, and as we go year to year, you know, maybe one year we're struggling. We got a budget problem or something. Well, we always got a budget problem. We always got a budget problem, but maybe one year is worse than others, like we had with that assessor thing where we had that emergency and we were putting money out, like, no, you know, so maybe something like that comes up and we say, well, no summer help this year, or something like that, you know, I mean, but we definitely haven't been doing it, but lately, the way we've been doing it with Dale is I feel like we've been just scraping by, and things are not getting better.
Yeah.
Things are, it's just a bare minimum of just getting done.
Yeah.
And that's not how it used to be.
No.
You know, and I don't know if we can go back to that. Obviously, again, we need to talk about this budget part. And the last thing that I want to say about this particular topic that is, I don't think we can really wait this long on this. I don't even know if I want to say we can wait till June 10th to get this taken care of. You know, I mean, that's a long time away. That's losing a whole month of.
Oh, no, I think our
working
intention is
So-
to figure it
I'm not
out.
gonna be there for that meeting,
Right.
so I'm saying it
Yeah.
now, you know,
Yeah.
I don't think we can wait forever. I think
No.
that, you know, I mean, there's. you know,
I think our intention was that it would be a
Hire
meeting to
someone on
hire
Monday.
somebody,
and
yeah.
I'm saying, get them going, let's
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, let's get
100%.
let's get Dale with them for a little while to show him the ropes a little bit about some of the stuff that has to be, that is continuously done, you know? And get that stuff out of the way, and then the rest of the work is directed by the supervisor mostly, you know, and stuff like that, you know, so, you know, putting out this fire and that fire, you know.
Yeah.
No, you can't wait till June.
I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know what the plan was, and I'm not gonna be here for that other
Right.
meeting, so.
And Dale wants to be done. I
Yeah.
mean,
I'm
he's,
sure he does. So I just don't think we can wait.
No.
I think we're living on borrowed time right now, you know, I mean, we tried to go once and we didn't get any applicants, and now we're really pushing it.
Now we got 2.
So,
So-
yeah, okay.
It's our,
That's all I wanted to bring up, so.
summing up quickly, we'll meet on Monday at noon with the 2 candidates, if I may, Aaron.
Sure.
And it's our intention to make a decision on that.
Yeah.
And we will vigorously discuss and look at precedent relative to having an assistant to or a summer help.
Yeah.
And we'll look at the budget as quickly as we can to see if it can support this, but we've already identified resources that could be made available or are actually already available to do that. So we may have an opportunity to take advantage of 2 people being available and get a lot of things done
Mhm.
in the township that need attention and can be upgraded or addressed quickly if there's more than one person available to address it.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Yep.
anything, and we can revisit this again if we need to under unfinished business, maintenance, vacancy.
I think we just made our decisions.
Pretty much
meeting Monday.
There's a consensus already building as to how to proceed. Is that a fair statement, Mr.
Yeah.
Durham?
Yes.
Yes.
Aaron, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think
Not to be
I
present?
put my piece on the table here for what I had, and then you guys, it's your show from there.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your understanding of the situation and your sensitivity to it, along with your feedback tonight. I very much appreciate it. Thank you. Dollar Bay Fire Department, there is a handout. Dollar Bay First Responders, a handout. Sorry, backing up the fire department.
Okay, so, the Dollar Bay Fire Department is putting in for a Portage Health grant, which is due on the 21st, so this has to be we're gonna need to make a motion to approve something like that this meeting, where we will have to get a signature, I believe, from Mark, and and then there'll be some financial data that'll have to be provided by the township as well. That'll go with this grant. And what it is there's what is it, emergency? I can't remember, emergency, what's the name of that grant again?
Let me open it.
This is from the Portage Health Foundation.
Volunteer Emergency Services Grant.
Volunteer Emergency Services Grant, which I believe has a maximum total of $50,000, which they will be parceling out in up to $5,000 increments. I think there's a match that's required to go with it. So it's not a huge grant, but the department wants to look at replacing and upgrading radios. Specifically, they want to put at least 4 radios on one of the trucks. So when the truck arrives on scene, not all of our department firefighters have radios. So what we would like to do is put them on the truck, so that when the truck arrives on scene and you get enough firefighters, if you have to go in or something, those firefighters have a radio.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, right now, don't necessarily have that, or you are waiting for a certain group to get there that may not get there. So that's what we're looking at, is trying to upgrade that situation. And there's some other things out there. We don't have radios we're getting called for these. We just had one, they have an accident and we end up doing traffic control. You got one on one end and one on the other end with signs and doing the traffic control, and then maybe we don't have radios for it. Anyways, so there's this grant here that we're looking to get apply for. I'm not saying we're going to get, but so what I need to do is, it's not a lot of money, and the money it's gonna come from is from the volunteer firefighter, the millage fund. So it's not like it's coming out of our general budget or anything like that, for the match portion of it. But I still believe that it needs to be approved by this board so that Mark can sign that application, and with the knowledge that we're looking at $5,000.
So what is the board's pleasure
I
to
will
address
make
it
a
right
motion
now?
that we allow them to apply for this grant.
And we would allocate up to,
2,500, I guess, if it's high.
I thought it was 5.
Or the
I think it's 5. I think the 5, it's a
5 to
50-50 match. And
Okay.
they give you
So that's
for
right.
5, we give 5, they give 5.
Oh, okay, I thought it was
So-
5,000 total.
No, I think it's up to 5,
Up to
yes.
5,000.
So, yeah,
out of the
Up to.
identified fund.
yes.
Okay.
Your mark.
I'll support that.
We have a motion and support. Any further discussion on the motion to support the fire department's effort with their submission of a Portage Health Foundation grant application with township earmark match up to a maximum of $5,000?
Yes.
Is that a summation of the motion?
Yeah.
Yep.
We have a motion and support. Is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, could we have a roll call vote on the motion, please?
Mr. Jenke,
Yes.
Mr. Ware,
Yes.
Ms. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Hopewell,
Yes,
yes.
thank you, Aaron. Anything else?
That's all I had for the fire department stuff.
Thank you for stopping me. That's important. First responders are in your packet.
Yeah, it's here.
Tamarack City Fire
It is.
Department in your packet.
It's an email that comes from Lloyd.
Oh, okay, there, yeah.
Okay, Hammerhead City Utility Board information in your packet. I also note that you're suggesting coming up from the Osceola Township Water Board that we hold a joint meeting with the Hammerhead City Water Board. And we're looking at June 2nd as the possible date. The suggestion is that the Tamarack City Water Board meet. Then the joint meeting begin to discuss items of mutual interest at approximately 6:30. And that meeting would be scheduled to run for approximately an hour at the Tamarack City meeting location.
So it's gonna be Tamarack City Water and Mason?
Tamarack City Water.
And then at
And-
6:30, we're gonna meet,
Can't
with-
remember.
we're gonna meet with the Dollar Bay Water.
Oh,
This is gonna discuss.
So at 6:30, so 6:30?
We get
6:30,
all of
yes.
the money that the state gives us goes
Is
into that.
there
account.
a motion
Everything
to go
goes
forward with that recommendation from the
Specific about
Osceola
what
Water
it
Board?
is.
Move.
Mr. Janke moves to hold a joint meeting with the Tamarack
Plus
City
the
Water
money
Board
from
as
one
previously
of the
identified. Is there support for the motion?
payouts
Support.
that reimburse
Mr.
us
Wareham,
for costs
Is
like
there
our one
additional
co-op for
discussion
insurance
on the
that
motion
was
to hold a
reimbursed.
joint meeting with the Tamarack City Water Board on the 2nd to begin at 6:30 at the Tamarack City Water Board's location? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We'll work to set up a joint meeting with the Tamarack City Water Board on June 2nd.
And our part starts at 6:30.
The joint meeting would begin at 6:30
Okay, I got it.
or as soon as the
And we're not gonna do any of the financial stuff in that meeting, right? So
So
there's
we're
no.
talking about what we discussed
Yeah,
earlier.
okay.
We'll put an agenda together between now and then, share
Take
it.
care of broken water lines.
Yeah,
Okay, yep.
Torch Lake Sewage Authority, there's a handout in your packet, courtesy of, Torch Lake Sewage Authority Board and Mr. Westfall. Mason Sewer Project handout, again, referenced at the Water Board meeting, packet. And the
I think,
questions about the Mason Sewer Project. Mr. Jenke.
it'd be, helpful to talk with, our operator here to see about, maybe we should get a second set of prints or something from UP or something in order that, or maybe he already had, they probably have an as-built set already started, but we need something that he can write on and scratch on for this, I would like to see him as-built it with measurements, not just like, he was talking pictures and stuff, where he actually as-built these service lines that are going in down there. Depths, dimensions from corner of this or something like that, at least one or two of those types of things to, for some of these service lines, unless, I don't believe that UP Engineering is gonna participate in that service line stuff. Or am I incorrect there? Is that Andy on? Andy or Emmett, are you guys on?
Somebody from EP Engineers is on but muted, so he could have left. I didn't talk to
Can we
him.
follow up on what you're suggesting here and find out what their level of
I think you
participation is?
need to know that, because I do believe that, that in the future, you're gonna wanna know some of those things possibly, and no, I wouldn't leave it up to the homeowner to remember everything. Just, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just something scratched down, so it's not,
We know
in
where
somebody,
things
it's
are.
not in somebody's memory bank, it's written down somewhere.
Well, not even just that. If somebody sells it and they don't pass the information on,
Yeah.
you've
Yeah,
instantly
I mean,
lost
it
it.
it goes away really fast.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. So
Well, that's a good idea.
there's probably some information already there, because they've obviously, wide off a service line and ended it at the property lines, but it'd just be good to make sure that if there's any weird stuff that goes on.
Any anomalies?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It doesn't always necessarily mean where they put their stake is gonna be a perfectly straight line right into their house or
Right.
whatever,
Yeah.
Let's, if you would note that, working through the minutes, then I'll follow up on that with UP Engineering. ask, and then,
I think we just need to make sure we talk to our operator too,
Yeah.
and what our expectations of that record keeping is for those lines. Which is
I'll
probably
follow up
gonna
with
be
Jim
some
as well.
hours for him, there's gonna be, we're gonna end up having to pay him a little bit, for his hours to go do that kind of stuff, so.
What about, are you, I missed the first part. Were you talking about taking pictures too, just so we have?
I mean, I'm assuming he's gonna have to, yes, I would
Yeah.
definitely take pictures,
Okay.
but I'm assuming that he's going to have to inspect every one of these things anyways,
That's
right?
correct.
We've
Yeah,
got
that's
it,
part of
we've
the
got it
instructions.
set up to inspect them, so as a part of inspecting them, the second phase is to just jot down some specific information, and the easiest way to do that is to have either cut sheets of each individual home, where that's just UP engineers can't provide that, or we could ask them to, or we just get another set of prints and he hand scratches it on there,
Mhm.
any
I'll
kind
follow
of
up with Jim on this.
pertinent information of any kind.
I think those are excellent suggestions.
I know that I've worked on projects where services lines can be, sometimes they're long, and I've worked on some projects, or even recently, where some of that stuff wasn't recorded and it caused issues, so.
Well, even if he can get pictures, we can just
Pictures
insert
help.
text over
I
the
have
tab.
pictures, I'm working on one, and it's actually over in Sault Ste. Marie right now, where it was for a school, and the school didn't have their service line, didn't get as built it,
Yeah.
and it goes down and around behind the property, and it has pictures, but I don't know how deep it is. I
Yeah.
didn't know, I mean, so we're trying to put a manhole in the middle of it, and I don't know the inverts, and it's just not.
Yeah.
Good to see if we can grab some stuff, is all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
We have a digital camera here, so if nothing else, he can take that and then we can just edit the pictures here with all that information together and.
Sure.
Cool, okay.
Well, more information, the better. And we're talking about, I think,
Just
18 residents, so we're
It's
not.
not overwhelming.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna be out there. Maybe it adds an extra hour to his time on the site during the process. You know what I mean?
It could save hours down the road.
Mhm.
Good,
Yeah.
it could.
A good point. Aaron, anything else?
No.
Any questions for Aaron relative to the issue?
No, but I'll just add that that's like the best idea because I think at least 30% of what I deal with are people calling, asking questions like that I can't help them,
Yeah.
and I don't know that anybody can. So
Yeah.
that would be super
I mean, to
helpful.
be honest with you, I mean, even when I was looking for my water service, I mean, if Bob wouldn't have known where it was exactly, and it went under my garage, I mean, how do you know these things?
Exactly.
I mean,
I knew it was there because he used to freeze all the time.
yeah. well,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a thing,
Yeah.
It's a thing. So, okay.
I was gonna flash back to my water line, but that's a story for
We
another.
can probably
day.
all tell
Yeah.
bad stories about this. The more information we have someplace, and then we get it filed away
Filed away.
somewhere,
Yep.
so that the next person that comes along has access to it.
Mhm.
You're not gonna dig that up for 10 years, hopefully 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, maybe a long ways down the road. So the person that actually has to need it, is probably gonna be a long way away,
Mhm.
hopefully.
Thank you. Taking a deep breath here, see how much I can move through on one breath. Supervisor's report. We'll start with the baseball field. Games played on it. The Lake Linden coach, his helpers and his team deserve a great deal of credit for keeping the field well-maintained and in playable order. Talked with him this evening about requests from other parties to use the field, and he's more than receptive to that idea, even offered the bases for them. I said they'll be primarily practicing. We're gonna try to coordinate schedules as early as next week. He's going to put his schedule going forward. I talked with Ms. Moyle about a Little League team wanting to use, and there's a second call that has come in that I haven't followed up yet about another request to use the field. We'll try to coordinate all this, but in keeping the board's pleasure in mind, we've indicated to each party that is called that the Lake Linden baseball team is the priority team on the floor right now.
I would think that this should be in any of the other users, whether it's like a Legion team or I think there's still Twilight out there, I don't know if they would use it at all. But I would definitely give, he put the work in.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, so
Yeah.
he deserves,
Priority.
priority,
Totally.
yeah.
On
I
a
did,
re-
I
go ahead,
did,
I'm sorry.
I did stop and talk to him, just to break in,
Please,
and
please.
I did stop and talk to him, and I wanted to thank him for the work, I thanked him for the work that he put in, obviously, that field's, I got a soft spot for that field because I used it for many years myself, and then I did offer to say, I offered to him and said, just tell us, what can we do to help you
Mhm.
keep going, so I did make that offer to him to see, I don't know what that entails. We'll see where that goes, but I did want to try to encourage and keep that going for that facility. And the last thing about that facility that I wanted to bring up real quick was many times that I've been out there, one of the problems out there, like the bases and stuff like that, is that there's no place to store any of those things. There's no place to store the
Oh,
chalk
yeah.
machine. There's no place to store the bases. There's no place to store any equipment like rakes or shovels or, there's no place to put any of these things out there. And it's a pain, it really is. And that's aside from the fact that, that there's obviously a needs maintenance inside the dugouts, and there's other things that need to be done. But one of the things that's always a problem over at that field and very discouraging is that there's no place for you to put stuff that you need when you're working on it to be able to come and maintain it and do the things that you have to. And we've talked about this in the past, and Bob has got input here, it sounds like,
But Denny, like, kind of drew up plans many years ago. I don't know. if you-
I
think they're in there.
I've seen them. The
that
thing about it
there's
is
a combination concession and storage.
correct.
Yeah.
That would be the ideal thing, and I think we're fine. I think we're still fine running with the porta potties out there, but that, I mean, if you look at the Houghton, the Huron field, that they just put in a nice little bathroom structure up there at the
Mhm.
Huron field too, and it's tougher for us because we would need a drain field for it and stuff like that, so that's tougher for us, but some kind of a facility over there that could be helpful would be nice, for sure.
I think we have those plans somewhere. I've come across them before. We
There's
can try to
space
get them
over
out.
there to do it,
Totally.
and I guarantee you, that not only does that get used, but stuff like that could be helpful for even like the chicken barbecue stuff. If you have that window, or, you have a concession area where you have a window thing or something along those lines, that could be, so maybe we could talk to the fire department too, for a little help with this or something like that,
They had volunteered on the bleachers. We may use our maintenance person or persons to put the bleachers up as expeditiously as possible. I'm gonna interject in here.
Go ahead.
A couple of things, because I'm gonna go right back to Aaron in just a moment, but I have been talking with people who have been walking their dogs on the field. They've been very receptive to the input. They understand it's a baseball field. They've been cleaning up their messes. I talked with Mr. Sutherland earlier today about whether or not they're running into any problems with it, and he did not indicate
Bless you.
any. But I'm bringing it up because Aaron, Mr. Jenke had mentioned previously about a dog run location. So Aaron, you want to take this?
Yeah, I mean, what popped this into my mind is that I go visit people from out of the area, and a lot of times I take my dogs with me, or dog now, and one of the things that a lot of these areas have to help curb some of this stuff is they have dog parks, and there's not a lot of those up here. Obviously, we have lots of free and roaming air places, but there's a lot of people in town and stuff like that would love to be able to take their dog. Obviously, they're doing it at our baseball field, so maybe we need to think about providing a place. And my suggestion was that we have that park over there at the Gooseneck Creek, which was the old MDOT turnoff park, and we could utilize that property over there and fence in a portion of that. Maybe look at some fencing and fence in a portion of that, and put together some ideas to possibly, make a path and fence in some area, and then we could direct people to that location, to do that, to bring their dogs, let them out and run
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So that was my idea. The question here would obviously be that now we have to search for some funding for that, but it's a fledgling idea. We don't even have it in any of our rec plans or any, it's not in our rec
It
plans.
might have made it in the rec plan.
A dog park?
When, yeah, maybe not officially, there might have been a comment about it because that
I know
actually
that park
came
over
up.
there is, but, and we
Right.
have a big plan for it.
Right.
Subpoena actually had to
Yeah.
do a big plan for it, but I don't know about the dog park.
No, well,
idea,
initially, because I was on that committee and it had been brought up, but we had a member of the committee that didn't think that was important because they didn't have a dog. So they kept kind of,
Pushing it away.
yeah, but it was brought up by several people and it was in comments when people filled out the plan. Initially, they had suggested using the land out by the dredge. Was something that they had suggested
I
at
think-
that time.
I think we actually own a fair amount of property over there on that triangle over there. between,
Yeah.
And I think there's plenty there.
Yeah,
that
the
could be
only,
utilized.
the only question about it is that I had talked, when we were looking for a space for the community garden.
Yeah.
I was told because of that whole thing with MDOT, we would have to find out if it qualifies. If it's something that we can do. The park that they had drawn up pictures for was approved.
By MDOT or us?
By
I'm pretty
MDOT.
sure that's literally our property now. Without, I don't think there's any stipulations on that.
Purchased by the township.
What's that? It was purchased. We purchased it. It's
Okay.
ours.
Okay,
So I believe that it was definitely, we were given first choice. But, anyway.
Well, we've got an idea, and just to add a footnote to the discussion about the dog park, I did raise, after talking with Aaron about this some time ago, the possibility of a dog park at that location with people who were walking their dogs on the baseball field, and without exception, they thought it was a really good idea. So we will flush it out,
yeah,
take a look at it. So
In order to get funding though, I think you do, if you were to get funding from any of the public agencies, we have, except for maybe Portage Health, I think that you need to have it in our rec plan. So, if you're going to some of these more official, these places that we
like
normally.
DNR or.
Yeah,
something
right,
like
any of
that.
those kind of grants,
Yeah.
those all required has to be in the rec plan. So we would have to make an adjustment to a rec plan or something like
Yeah.
that in order to pull this off.
I'll pull it, I don't know where it is right now.
It's up there
Try to
somewhere.
remember to pull it
Yeah.
off.
with
and-
this discussion in mind, then, we'll begin to explore the
Yeah.
feasibility and have a report ideally by the June meeting on
Yeah,
how
yeah.
we might be able to proceed. We've got a rec plan here,
Mhm.
we've got an idea, we've got some very limited community identification with this possibility, and they understand that the baseball field is a baseball field. So let's pick up the theme and see what we can do with it, and maybe have an idea as to how to go forward for our June meeting.
Yeah,
on this.
that
So
sounds
thank you. That was a
I
great
think
idea,
it'll
good
be-
discussion.
I think it'll be
Anything else?
important because, I mean, I don't know if you noticed driving by for the past year, there's always people over there, like start at from the beginning of the pandemic forward,
Yeah,
constantly people over there using it. So I think
Okay.
that's a huge need in our area.
I suspect that if we put something like that in, it would be used more than.
Oh, yeah.
By more than just
Oh, for
our
sure.
community, for sure. but-
Chassels, I know for sure is used
Yeah.
by more than, I mean,
I-
people from around here go down there.
Excuse me, I think we're all on board with this, if I
Sure.
may interject,
Yep.
let me get back to my report.
Just kidding.
I'm with you 100%.
Thank you. Yeah. There's buy-in. Ice rink update, I communicated with another message to Mr. Wilcox. We did send the invoice for board removal to him for payment, and when we talked last, he indicated that that was being processed. He is still trying to get the information about ice rink board packets to us. But I fear that the cost of materials is an issue right now unless these things are warehoused somewhere.
Yeah,
I've got a call into him. He hasn't gotten back to me. I checked my emails just before the meeting. There wasn't anything there. The Holden County Road Commission has been working potholes, but I've had two, what I think are very successful meetings with the Road Commission. On the 22nd of April, I met with John Sema, and with Kevin Hardy, I met with John again yesterday morning. And I have things I'm gonna run by you very, very quickly for your consideration. First of all, on Woodside Road, where there are pink markings on the road and stakes in the ground, that is FEMA work being done by the road commission. They're going to resurface, I believe, something in the neighborhood of 75 to 80% of the Woodside Road. That's gonna be resurfaced there, where those markings on the road and the stakes are. They've got flood damage repair that they're finishing up there. They're also gonna be finishing up down here at the upper and lower Point Mills Road Y, where the culverts are. Fixing that area in there is on their list to do near Osceola Township this summer. Dust control is something that I'm asking the board to act on tonight. They have to have our plan by the first week of June for roads that require the calcium chloride treatment, the material I shared, I believe, at the last meeting. I dropped off some material with Mr. Wareham yesterday and then took off to drive the back roads. And I'll take only 30 seconds on the experience. They need oiling. I went straight from Okarainen Road onto Cloverland and back to the Wausau Road. And by the time I got done in Osceola and I believe Calumet and or Hancock Township, I went straight to the car wash. I had a vehicle pass me and it was
Let me
just
ask you
like
something,
you
is
not
this
believe.
mostly on the north end up there then?
It's all in precinct 4 with a
Okay.
possible exception of a road or two.
I mean, they have
in
plenty of
precinct-
money in that.
Oh, there's $166,000
Yeah.
dollars
And
right
they have
now.
some very bad roads that
Yeah.
need repairing.
Yeah, that's where most of this is, so yeah.
Right now, I'm only asking for the latitude to proceed with the dusting.
Is it?
Mhm.
Let's do
Gentlemen,
it.
These, yeah.
I'll make
get
that
the-
motion.
Need a motion to approve going forward with the dusting on the
Second.
applicable roads. Can I ask for a cap in the motion revenue? Because I don't want
Did they give you any general idea? what-
No, the price is pretty much as last year, maybe a little tiny bit higher, but we've got to stake all the roads and we've got to know how many feet we're dealing, so.
What was the price
was their
last
la- what
year?
was it-
Last year,
what was
we
it?
did all of that on Okarainen Road for $1,400. If we have a
Okay,
cap, of-
about 4,000 cap.
there are a couple of other roads up there that might need it. May I ask for up to 5,000?
That sounds good.
We have a motion and support for up to $5,000 for roads in precinct 4 relative to dust control.
Correct.
Mhm,
Any further discussion on the motion?
mhm.
We'll call for a roll call vote on the motion for up to $5,000 to, out of precinct 4 funds to provide dust control on the gravel roads.
Mr. Jenke,
Yes.
Mr. Wareham,
Yes.
Ms. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Hopewell.
Yes. Thank you very much. Moving right along.
Mark, can I ask a question really quick?
Sure.
We were talking about Woodside, they're looking at resurfacing 80%. Is there a need for the other 20% to be resurfaced? And if so, could we piggyback on that,
Well,
or
yeah,
is that
I
not
was getting to
necessary?
the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah, your point is right on target.
Okay.
I'll be raising that with John.
Okay.
They're doing 75 to 80. Do we want to do the whole road?
Mhm.
So he told me that right now we can do a lot of road work in all of our precincts where resources are available. Please note that of the approximately $48,000 identified in precinct 1 relative to road funding available after the most recent tax payments, $8,000 of that is already committed to the road commission to finish East Street up on the hill.
Mm.
That's work they started last fall. It will be resurfaced, they believe, as early as next month. So the plant's not up and running yet.
There's
But
actually more money coming too, once the county settles. I'll have a little bit more money going into
Plus the
this.
resources identified in the packet relative to the COVID relief money, if it all goes to infrastructure and is limited by rule, the roads and or bridges at all, then we're gonna have that limitation to that 180,000. We've addressed dust control, but we have an abundance of roadways in the entire township, setting aside precinct 1 for this moment because of the limited available funds now, about $40,000. We talked about Millionaire Street up in precinct 4 during the first several hundred feet off of US 41 as a possible project. We talked about Store Street. We talked about Church Street up in precinct 4. We've talked about First Street here in Dollar Bay. We've the first several hundred feet off of M26. Also now the balance of Woodside Drive off of M26 westernmost entry. We've talked about resurfacing 200 feet from the junction with Cedar on the, what would be the north side of the post office. That would cost $10,000. The project on First Street would be $32 a foot. And the reason for the slightly higher cost for Cedar relative to First is the people that will be paving Woodside could keep right on going. And anything that is in proximity to an ongoing project in and around the township, we can get that road resurfaced for $32 a foot. Haven't flushed out all of the roads that we might want to cover with this because the numbers are just up to date as of this evening's report. So with the board's understanding, what I'd like to do is work up internally for your review at the next meeting, a plan where we would partner with the road commission and their contractors to try to resurface as much road in the township as we can going forward, dealing with issues in Dollar Bay, in Woodside, up in precinct 4, finishing up in precinct 2 with East Street, etc. I don't have any idea as to cost because it will be predicated on length of road we ultimately opt for. But the meetings with both John and Kevin have been extremely helpful. They've got people coming in. The work's going to be starting in earnest next month, but we do have until our meeting on the 9th to add to them and things that won't be problematic getting in our projects for paving or resurfacing. So a lot of what needs to be done, we can't do it all, but we can certainly take a giant step towards fixing what's badly damaged inside the township by partnering with the road commission this summer.
You may want to look at that golf course corner too.
Yeah, thank you. That was the last one I was going. The golf course corner,
Wait till you hear the option.
there are 2 suggestions. The one that the road commission is recommending informally at this moment is turning that corner back to gravel. They would grind it all up.
It's just gonna make it dusty on
See, the
a.
problem is when it rains there, it's gonna wash right out of there. That's the
Well,
only problem.
I'm only repeating.
That's fine.
Let me ask a question here too on that. Is the end of the pavement, is that where our township line starts? Is that, or is that in the other township?
No, that almost all of that is in our township.
So that thing comes down the hill and turns a corner, and the bottom corner section is just almost all patch at this stage, and but that's all in our township. That whole thing is
That's
in our township. Oh,
Yep.
okay, all right.
Yeah, almost the entire turn and road is in our township until
Well,
it
it is?
gets up into Calumet
Oh, I
Township.
didn't know that. Okay.
If it is Calumet, hang on a second.
I know
I
that
can tell you
only part of
something.
that course is in,
Yeah, it's the golf course itself, but let me,
Something like that.
clubhouse is in our township?
I think the clubhouse
Yes.
is Osceola, the courses in Calumet,
Okay.
something like that.
golf course road. all
They
the
have-
way
they
up from
pay
that
on
turn,
two lots to
From the
me, so.
turn area is in Osceola Township.
Okay.
This is a rudimentary.
I thought, I just wondered, I always wondered why that pavement stopped right there. I figured mostly that pavement is there to stop from dusting the golfers, but,
That's probably
I'm assuming,
It-
obviously it's in our best interest to make sure that if that thing's in our township, that we're supporting it.
To fix the turn with gravel would be less than $1,000. To pave it would be several $1,000s.
I don't see why we don't spend that money.
They got the money.
It is in precinct 4.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I'm saying.
That's the one real plus here. So we
We
have
have
a
to go
lot
all
of.
the way to the golf course, just that.
Just get around that corner or something.
All
Yeah,
right, then when I meet with John again, which will probably be early next week, I'll sit down and say, here's what we're thinking of. I need prices.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll bring them all back on the 9th, and instead of going to gravel, I'll say that that's our B plan. Here's our A plan we want to take.
yeah, we would definitely.
Give us a
support
price for paving what is now all torn to pieces on that turn. Okay. Thank you. Let's see, I think I pretty much identified everything. The post office at 10, yeah, and dusting the streets. Got it. Okay, thank you.
that.
That's
How about storm sewer clean out stuff?
Yep, that's next. Storm sewer clean out is tentatively scheduled for the 2nd or 3rd week in June. John and I have had 2 conversations. The rates are the same as they were last year, and we had nothing done. I think it's $150 an hour.
So which ones have you made a plan on which ones we're doing, or do we have a map of our storm sewers, or?
Dale and I are going to go around next week with a can of paint and paint all the, identify all the storm sewer drains.
Okay.
In the
Because I mean,
community.
the ones that we have, well, even, there are some storm sewers, like even by the school, there are a couple of older ones that probably should be opened and cleaned if they weren't already cleaned, I don't know for sure.
They will use their equipment where it is feasible and acceptable.
I'm talking about,
Yeah.
I'm talking about in our streets,
Yeah.
they're in our streets, so, those are, I'm assuming those are ours at this point,
The only stipulation he had was if they are concerned about equipment damage, they will not do it.
I'm just saying there are some of those that are not the French drain style, but
Well,
the,
I may impose upon your availability when Dale and I set up.
All right.
If you don't mind,
sure.
that way we identify the ones that are there, and then they're gonna tell us which ones they can clean or not clean based on conditions that they.
It'd be interesting to see do we have a map of this at all, or do we have anything?
We may
Not
have
that
to
we're
create-
aware.
We may have to
Okay.
create a map.
Mm-mm.
I think it's getting close to time where we need to do
Absolutely.
something with that, because then we can just say, we want, catch basins 1 through 12 done, or something like that, or something along, and assess numbers to them. That's how communities do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
Well, the last time they came through, and this could have been like 4 years ago, maybe more.
it's more than
We
that.
know they missed a ton,
Yeah,
and
so
they
that's why
told
you
us
need a
they
map.
got them all, so.
That's why I feel like a map is important
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
I don't know if do we have do we have flyover data or something from Traverse Engineering that they can, that's available to us, that we can, a map of the community?
We
I
can
believe they
ask-
have it. I believe Traverse actually has it. I don't know if
We'll
Rudy
ask.
has it.
Pretty sure they do.
Mhm.
I'll ask them.
I know they have it actually, so.
Okay, I'll follow up.
Yeah.
Anything else relative to storm drains? With regards to the fire damaged house in Tamarack City, in your packet is a email from our attorney, Pat Greeley. There's a number of issues ranging from payment for the fire department. We got that straightened out. But we've had a lot of concerns raised from residents on 6th Street about additional piles of garbage being added to the existing piles of garbage, not in the premise, but on the grounds. Setting aside the building for just a moment, we got an email from Township's former attorney indicating that people on 6th Street are very much interested in assisting in any way possible in cleaning up the property. And in a conversation with the Township's new attorney, I learned that there'd been some general discussion on this topic, and that he's interested in offering us what guidance he thinks would be appropriate under the circumstances, because we have a judgment against the property owner that dates back to August of last year. If you look at the email in your packet from Pat, he makes 3 suggestions. He emphasized the third one as probably being the one most advantageous, alerting the court and going back in to say that this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, and that all the other conditions we would hope would apply. I'm generalizing the conversation. By so engaging him in this part on our behalf, we, I think, have an opportunity to ask his assistance in trying to put a judgment, a garnishment against the settlement on behalf of the property owner from the insurance company for the damage to the building, to assist with covering the cost relative to the cleanup. It's something that will require our legal counsel engaging, in my opinion, on our behalf to go forward with this. But 2 things, if successful, I believe would happen. One, we would get the grounds cleaned with the removal of everything. And there would be ultimately a high opportunity, if not absolute opportunity, for reimbursement of costs incurred by the township going in, if he's successful. But we have the judgment. We cannot go directly to the insurance company. I asked the question of the insurance company, office manager, agent, and we are not participating in Public Act 495. I learned that from both the adjuster and from the office manager for farmers and merchants. 495 would have given us as a governmental unit an opportunity to put a hold on 20% of the final settlement relative to the property to ensure that the property is clean. So with your permission, I will at least explore with our attorney how we could possibly get involved with what we would have to do to become a participant with Public Act 495 at the state level. I don't know if we just sign up or if there's a cost associated with it. But Mr. Greeley is willing to go forward with it. So I'm looking at what action, if any, you would like me to pursue with our attorney as expeditiously as possible.
Sounds like we need a motion to proceed with number 3, right?
I'm asking for a motion as to the board's pleasure.
I make that motion.
Mr. Jenke moves that we take recommendation number 3. Would you like to read it, Aaron, in its entirety for everyone?
Seek approval from court indicating that we believe we are entitled to pursue the remediation, but out of an abundance of caution, in parentheses here, and due to the time in between the order and the enforcement, we wanted to seek the approval. So basically, because of
The
the
motion is to
timeframe.
go move through the courts.
Yeah.
And through the court as suggested. Is there a support for that motion?
I'll support.
Ms. Gardner. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We'll get on it this week. Get in touch with Pat. MDOT rail, late yesterday afternoon.
Hold on.
I'm
We
sorry.
need to take a break, and I think probably need a water for Tracy because her hand is dying over here. Just
So
kidding.
we
Go ahead.
recess
Just
for-
kidding. Just kidding. I'm
Falling
I'm
asleep.
watching her just. I think a hand massage maybe is required. I don't know.
I
Bad.
Page 3.
This is
How about if I
bad.
pick up the pace?
This is bad.
So
Go ahead.
The whole notebook full. Windows and all.
Go ahead.
simply put, we got new licensing agreements for both water and sewer relative to the right of way between Dollar Bay and Mason. They came in late yesterday. They're printed, but I haven't even had a chance to look at them. I don't think action will be required before our June meeting, but I'd like to run them by our attorney. One is 15, one is 17 pages. I'll get them down to Mr. Guzman, excuse me, Mr. Guzman, Mr. Greeley. Got the property in Tamarack City in Illinois. My apologies for that, Mr. Greeley. 21, 22 amended budgets. We'll have more information for those at the June meeting. Ordinances, been working on 3 ordinances, did get some action on the blight ordinance relative to the house here in Dollar Bay with the porch falling off. I've had 2 conversations in the last week with the property owner, and he has submitted, which I have not reviewed yet, walked in with it just before the meeting began tonight, a brief summary of his timelines. He has contacted Ms. Dig and done other things around the property to prepare to make improvements and address issues there. With regards to burn, we've had some people call complaining about burn barrels and the odor from the burn barrels. I've gone out a couple of times to drive through the communities, but haven't been able to smell anything, though I did see a modest amount of smoke coming out of a burn barrel. But in looking at the ordinance, it is focused primarily on smell versus fire itself, from my perspective, and it makes it somewhat difficult to pursue if you can't smell anything. So I'm talking with the chief of the fire department in the near future about who's responsible for what, because there are references to the responsibility of the fire chief also in ordinance enforcement. We need to flesh that out a little bit. And then with regards to parking, we've had some issues on Main Street, but after warnings, talking with owners of apartment buildings and whatever, the situation has improved considerably, but it's not complete. So
No, I was gonna say that the guys that are at that specific apartment that we keep talking about, so they have a garage.
Yep.
That's attached to the building, right?
Yep.
They never park in the garage.
No,
They always park in front of the garage,
Right.
which it goes right across the sidewalk. So that's not their driveway. They don't get to park there, you know, but they park there anyway. So even though we got a lot of them, they're now parking across the street, you know, adjacent to the, and there may be some other ones that you're talking about here, but adjacent to the volleyball court there for the Baptist church, which I don't think we can do anything about. It's probably fine. But those two vehicles, still
Park on the sidewalk.
parking on the sidewalk.
Yep.
You know, I mean, that's not okay.
I've spotted it once. I'll contact the
There you
landlord
go.
again. She's supposed to address it and indicate that they should park either parallel to the sidewalk like others are doing or in the garage. And she said that would be part of her parking rules for them. I'll remind her of that. Give her a call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Are we gonna do anything with that ordinance exactly to firm up those dates and all that on there? The
Yeah, we
ambiguous dates?
need to take action down the road about when they actually begin in April.
Yeah.
Because it just, so I think maybe over the summer months, we could take action on that ordinance to be precise as to the date.
I don't think we can do anything else, yeah, or a date set by the, you know, with ample time, you know, like there's maybe a date set, you know, I think the city of Houghton puts out like a warning, you know, they put out a flyer, you know, prior to when their parking ban starts and ends, you know,
Mhm.
so maybe we attack it in such a manner as something similar to that, for instance, except for it's almost exactly the reverse of a parking ban, or we're saying you can park on the sidewalk, you know.
Yeah. Ours is reverse of many.
Yeah, so anyways,
We'll make a date
maybe
certain.
something along those lines, I don't know, or you have weird years like this year where it's not the same,
Mhm.
so.
I attended this Monday's Fulton County Rec Authority meeting in, but we lacked a quorum for any definitive action. The primary focus of the discussion was on the fact that legislators came up to see Calian Electronics and did a tour of Douglas Houghton Falls and the trails in need of repair, and were impressed by the damage done and the need for repair, and indicated their willingness to be of help. So we'll see if that translates into anything.
That kind of electronics is gonna be a big deal.
Credit to our state rep and state senator, Mr. Markkinen and Mr. McBroom. They brought up a delegation for the tour, so that was important to learn. The last thing I wanted to, actually two things very quickly. One is the school still is willing to do Earth Day projects, so if you've got any ideas, please let me know or let the school know. And lastly, when I talk with Pat Greeley, I'm gonna talk about our liquor control
Oh,
possibilities.
I had it written down, okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's on my agenda to go over with Pat about what we might need to do to get engaged and involved here. So, ball field I talked about is an action on road commission we've taken care of, Mason sewer, Pat Greeley options.
Mill site,
Maintenance
It's
interviews.
on the agenda.
not your mill site,
Oh, different mill site. Oh,
Mason mill site. We talked about it last meeting,
yep, we did.
about the
Oh, you're
trespassing.
talking trespassing order.
The
Yeah, I'm-
trespassing and and basically that's a very large, dangerous structure.
Yep.
And we have an ordinance that deals with it, so I'm just wondering where that, I mean,
Okay.
if you wanna talk with Greeley about it, I'm okay with that, if we spend an hour of our money, to talk with him about that particular site, you know.
Please add that to my list of things to talk about with Mr. Greeley. I'll make a note of that. Also, in addition to that, I've got to follow up. I played a little phone tag with the gentleman from the Historical Society about the dredge, that area too. So we're talking about putting signs.
Yeah,
up.
dredge, I mean, we're talking signs or maybe a
So-
fence or something there.
Yeah. Haven't finished those discussions yet, so I apologize for that. I'll have more.
No, it
on
sounds like
that.
you had plenty on yeah, okay.
I'll do my best to have some, no, it's on my to-do list, but when I call him and he's not available, and I haven't called him for several days or a couple of weeks, so it's kind of like. That's pretty much it.
Ooh, that was enough.
You said it was gonna keep it under
30
30. I thought he was
35 is pretty much what
I
he
said
said.
That's
under
what you
40 minutes,
said.
I succeeded, and with a lot of help and input from the
Not
board.
too
so-
bad.
Not too bad.
We're definitely
Okay.
we're definitely past Tracy's bedtime here now, though.
Yes,
We're
we are.
definitely past.
We're not done.
Wait,
Any
we're not even
Further
close to
questions of
being
me
done.
before I move on to unfinished business?
Move on.
Moving on, item 8, Travis Engineering, there's a handout for you tonight, for update. We are getting a permit for the culvert at the sand pit. And included in the application, or will be, for the FEMA work that's being done down there. He's already talked to Hunter King and said that was a good idea. With regards to the sand pit, I believe that Mr. Ebert has been down there and already done prep work for the cleanup and Dollar Bay next week.
Okay.
Ease of access. With regards to item B, UP Engineering, Mason Sewer Project, action item, there is for the board's consideration and approval tonight, a resolution that Tracy has under her left arm that requires board action for payment. I wonder if it would be possible for you to make quick reference to that item. And the board can then
It's,
act.
draw request number 10, resolution approving payment totaling 1603.23 from rural development. UP engineering outstanding invoices $1,453.53, and the Osceola Township reimbursement is $149.73 for the total of 1603.23.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
That is the informational portion of it. We will need a motion to approve the resolution.
I will make that motion.
Motion from Ms. Gardner to approve the resolution. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Mr. Wareham supports it. The motion and support of the resolution. Any further discussion on the payment resolution motion? Hearing none, a roll call vote is called for.
Mr. Jenke,
Abstain.
Mr. Ware,
Yes.
Ms. Gardner,
Yes.
Mr. Hopala,
Yes,
myself, yes.
we'll sign the document this evening. I'll get it over to UP Engineering on that. Thank you very much. The only action item there, the last item, I think we have already discussed under unfinished business, and that is that we will hold interviews for the maintenance vacancy on Monday. We had a meaningful discussion on the parameters and the ideas as to how to proceed. We did say we'd revisit at this time if anybody had any additional comments or ideas.
I think we did it pretty good.
Oh, maintenance, okay,
Yeah.
we already talked about
We're
it.
good.
All right.
Okay, no additional comments? Thank you. Under new business, Tamarack City property, we've already talked about this to some degree. That is the property with the blighted grounds and experienced the fire. And we've already passed a motion on this issue to pursue a legal course through our legal counsel, Kendricks and Bordeaux, and Mr. Greeley on our behalf. Is there anything else we need to talk about from the board's perspective relative to the Tamarack City property?
Mm-mm.
Thank you. Item B, added to the agenda, mill site, Tamarack City.
Yeah, this may fall under the same thing as the dredge. First thing that I'd like to know, and I'm not sure if anyone knows, if we actually own the old mill site in Tamarack City.
Yes,
We do,
we do.
all of it.
Yes.
Okay. Then you might want to talk to legal. If you walk under that thing, there are cement things just hanging by wires, just ready to fall. Like, those pillars are falling apart and the old walkways between them are just crumbling all the time. And I'm afraid of a kid or somebody's gonna walk under that thing and just, they're gonna kill me, hitting something coming off that thing. So I don't know if it's signage, I don't know what we do, but we got a huge liability, just like the, you know, the, what you call property there. It's, there's no sign, and there's nothing there. Somebody gets hurt there, we got a liability on our hands.
I will bring up the topic with Mr. Greeley when I talk with him and seek his counsel as to how to proceed to not just reduce, but eliminate to the extent humanly possible township liability. It may require not just signage, but fencing.
Maybe fencing between the pillars, just to keep them from underneath there, but.
Are they allowed to be removed?
Hmm?
Are they allowed to be removed? Or is there some
No, they
historical
tried to remove
thing?
them with dynamite and everything else,
cannot.
you can't move them.
No.
These are the big pillars used to hold up the trains,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you can't move them. You might be able to move the things between, possibly, but I'm thinking the fence is probably a hell of a lot cheaper.
Well, yeah, but I mean, ultimately, eventually, don't you think they'll need
Ultimately, yeah.
removal? I mean,
I guess I always thought somebody else owned the pillars and beyond, so I never worried about it, but that thing is a liability that we gotta make sure.
I can't imagine that we would own the property and not own the stuff on the property, you know?
I'm sure it's all ours now.
Well, I just thought, again,
If
this
we own the property, it's ours.
may be back to a Carpiac gentleman's agreement thing, but I thought there was something about the historical society getting
Yeah.
involved in that.
I heard the same thing, so I'll follow up on both fronts.
Okay.
You have to talk to them
I
anyway
gotta
about
talk
the
to them
dredge.
anyway, so we'll just. add
Ask
that
them
to
if
the
they're
list.
aware of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if
it
nothing
may
else.
be an historical site, that may be, and maybe we can get some help.
There might be
if it's
some limitations if it's historical too on what we can and
What we
can't
can,
do.
but we
Right.
could certainly fence it off, and we can ask the historical society
Then
to
they
get behind
need
a
to do
grant
something with the
application and
fence,
pay for it.
our liabilities are gonna cover us.
I'm-
If it's historical though, we might be able to get state money
Yeah,
or
that's what
something
I was
to,
thinking, we'll pursue it, that's a great idea.
That's all that was.
Okay. And the next item is website.
Yeah, the only reason I brought this up is I was looking today because one of the questions on the application for the volunteer fire department is, websites, like the top things. So then I went to our website and I put, you can go over to departments and you look at Dollar Bay Fire Department or something, you bring it up and it's got some stuff from, some calls from like 2018 or something on it. There's a lot of stuff here. My question is where is this website going? There's a lot of information that could be put there that isn't, we could definitely expand upon each one of those departments. We could expand upon the water
for
department, for
sure.
instance, there's some stuff here that could be added.
I have made-
Including even some stuff like a section on the board members with their pictures. I don't know
Oh,
if
yeah.
that's internet, stuff like that, I don't know, but this specifically, I was looking for the fire department website section to
Mhm.
add to that thing, and it's,
We need a person.
yeah, so that's what I'm getting at. I don't know what the
Yeah.
capability of this website that we have is. I'm not even sure what it can do and what it can't,
Yeah.
so I don't know where we go from here, but
well, with
once
regard,
you do it once, we can leave it in there for a long time and maybe we can maintain it ourselves from there, but you almost need that initial build,
we, I personally, I have made repeated requests to the Dollar Bay Fire Department for a picture of the guys. I've asked like around the 4th of July when everybody will be together and they're in their uniforms. Nobody will get me the information. And this
Okay,
has
well,
been
I
going
got-
on for over 3 years,
Okay,
4,
we-
5 years.
We got a new chief now,
Yeah.
so,
Tamarack
not
City
that
has
Ron
sent
was
me
bad or
one.
anything like that, but
Yeah.
some of that stuff probably wasn't his top priority. So
Yeah,
it
well, I
might
did
not be-
not- I
it
didn't-
might not be Brad's.
I
either,
did
but
not, I didn't talk to Ron though. I mean, I talked to
can-
other members. and-
Yeah, we can see if we can help,
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there that it seems like there's some, I look at the Facebook page where they got the nice picture of the fire truck and stuff like that, and I was like, well, why can't we do something like that with ours?
Right.
Or is ours a text only website? I'm just
No,
wondering.
we can have pictures, we can do all kinds of stuff with it. The problem is that people won't get back. Laura made all these requests of stuff she wanted added. That's great and fine. I'm not gonna track that information down. I don't have
I'm not doing this
time.
on you.
You know, no, but I mean,
Well,
between
let-
Lena and I, we've
let me
been building
interject.
it up.
We need to bring in someone with website skills to help us
I
upgrade our
feel like
website.
It seems like, we're there a little bit. Yeah, we're seeing something like that.
Because in all candor, I get inundated, as I'm sure.
Here's another
others do,
option.
With
Here's another
professionals
option,
offering
I'm
their
just gonna
services.
throw it out there, is they have a website class over at school. Is that something maybe they could help us with something like that, I don't know, where, they have the students or something.
Maybe the senior or something, here's a project.
I'm not saying that's a guarantee, I'm just
No,
saying,
it's
I
just a
know they
possibility.
actually have a graphics design class over there
Right.
that does with websites.
Well,
and
they
stuff
did
like-
the school's website, didn't they?
I think they did a lot of it, so I'm just throwing it out there, you
Yeah.
know, and maybe
Let's
that's
ask.
something we can work through it, but I feel like there's even pertinent information right there that probably should be on there that's
Oh,
not. you know?
100% agreed.
And hey, I mean, we've come a long way from, it wasn't that long ago that we had nothing at all.
Mm,
So, and we're not a rich township, so we can't just go and splurge on stuff
Right,
like
right.
that,
It's
so.
time and money,
right.
you
So
know.
I get it, I'm
It's-
just throwing it out there
Yeah.
that it seems like, it could use a little love.
Yeah,
There's an opportunity here, let's ask the question.
for sure.
Sure, okay.
I would just, because Bina and I are the ones that have been maintaining it, and the biggest problem we run into is people getting back to us with the information requesting to put out there.
Sure.
It would be much more updated if
I'm
people
not
got
trying-
back to
I'm not
us.
trying to blame anybody here.
No, I know,
I'm just saying, you know, is there something we can do?
for sure.
You know, should we do something? I
Sure,
mean,
let's contact the school and see what they have to offer.
I
They
think we
may-
should. I mean,
I think so too, but I don't know, you know, I mean, I think, you know, like, definitely for sure, at least a picture of our chief
Heck yeah.
our chiefs should be on there,
Heck
you
yeah,
know, for
agreed.
sure. And, you know,
I mean, if we have all the documentation out there, that would probably funnel out 50% of the phone calls that come into this office, because people can go get the stuff they need themselves.
right, I mean, you can definitely cut off a lot of your phone call
Yeah.
time
Let,
by having enough information out there that some of that stuff gets way later.
If we can
Let's
even
look-
have a
let-
brainstorming session where we figure out what kinds of things should be out there, we can still handle it, you know, putting it out there, but
Sure.
it's just, I don't necessarily think of everything that would be beneficial,
let's
you know,
ask
and
the school then. We'll bring somebody in that can provide us with some guidance and some recommendations, and we'll
Yeah.
see what they have to say. And if they say, look, we can help you design and upgrade your website, and it's not gonna cost you anything, we'll make it a class project, as was
I don't
suggested.
even care if it does cost a little something.
Well, yeah, but that,
You
but
know.
point being is, let's see what we can get for nothing first. That might
Okay.
be beneficial. We've been talking about spending a lot of money tonight,
Well,
let's
I
see
don't know
what.
about
Yeah.
spending a lot of money, but I
See what the
definitely see
school's
if you can
willing
get
to-
the framework there that makes life for the people that are trying to maintain it, if you can upgrade the framework a little bit, so the people that are working on it, it's not a struggle
Yeah.
as much, you know, I think that helps, you know.
totally.
Point well made.
Mhm.
All right.
We had talked earlier about the possibility of partnering with the school, the wood shop, to maybe do planters like they did in the city of Houghton.
Mhm.
You know, just because we're looking at improvements around the township and a new improvement group, so I think that would be a good
Well,
first
there's no
step.
time like the
I mean, they're
present, we
asking
can
us about
pursue.
Earth Day
Yeah.
stuff, and this is an Earth Day, but I mean, there's no reason we can't reciprocate and ask them about stuff too, you know.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, let's go follow through. Hopefully have information by our June meeting. All right,
Sure.
we'll take it upon the office staff to inquire of the school's desire and capabilities relative to helping us with the
Do you want
website.
me to give them a call?
Oh, why don't you?
Okay.
Thank you for volunteering. All right, report for the June meeting, see what happens.
Mhm.
Anything else on the agenda? Let me add one thing under director's report, just so you know, I'm waiting for information on alternatives for the lawnmower for the Mason Sewer project.
What happened?
Well, the original one is out of stock that we ordered, and we were supposed to have information by tonight, but there was a glitch in getting it through the fax.
Okay.
And we'll have it for the next meeting.
Okay.
Just wanted to put that out. Anything else before I call for public comment one more time and a motion to adjourn? Anybody?
Mm-mm.
Hearing none, we'll offer one more opportunity for public comment for people participating with our meeting. You'll have up to 3 minutes to provide input for the board's consideration. Please identify yourself, and the time will begin when you start talking. Is anybody interested in offering comment?
Hello, Mark and Osceola Township Board. This is Cindy Barth. Let's see if I can see. There I am. Okay, you can see me if you see the screen. I'd like to say thanks to Mark and the Osceola Township Board for whatever your part was in getting most of the potholes filled on the side of the post office road. Thank you very much. I'm finished.
Oh, thank you very much. Road Commission, footnote to all, Ray Claudio is leaving the Road Commission in a couple of months, and I thank Ray for getting his crew down here, I think on 3 different occasions to work on potholes, so grateful. Thank you, Cindy. Anybody else would like to offer comment?
Horst Schmidt, I have a question. Have you heard anything about the money from the federal government for the rescue plan? Are you getting notified or anything? Stimulus
I may take a moment and respond. Yes, we've discussed it on a couple of occasions this evening. The township is aware of the fact that there is money coming to us, but the guidelines for its usage have not arrived yet, nor have the resources. We're in a holding pattern, but we are alert to the COVID-19 relief package allocation for local units of government.
And have you been given the amount that you will be receiving?
Figure it is just under $180,000.
Okay. The other question I have is, would either the Tamarack City Water Council or the Torch Lake Sewage Authority be eligible for any of that funding?
That's a question we can't answer at this moment. Thank you for raising it.
That's all I have. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Does anyone else have a comment?
Mark, I have something too.
Kristen, the floor is yours for up to 3 minutes.
Okay, could I get clarification on whether or not the Monday special meeting will be available via Zoom?
We're looking into our options relative to the meeting. We'll be posting access to the meeting prior to either before the weekend or on Monday.
Okay, good. I noticed that the applicant letters were not included in the board packet, and I was interested in seeing those. The
Actually,
other comment was,
that's protected, is it not?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think they can see that.
Yeah.
I believe including interview processes are not public. That's probably a closed session.
Some of it is, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a closed
We'll
session.
get clarification.
Now, we're seeking clarification. Thank you. Anything else, Kristen?
yeah, there's one thing on the has to do with the website. I've mentioned before that the meeting minutes on the website have not been updated since April of 2020. Is there a reason that we aren't keeping that updated with the monthly meeting minutes from meetings?
Well, I'll comment on that. It's just because of time. But you get those meeting minutes and all your packets, since we've been putting the packets on the website for you for every meeting, you actually have those
No,
minutes.
I agree with that, Tracy, for my own benefit, but I mean, anybody who's the public who's coming to the township website, just for general public access, it's a long time to have a year without updating meeting minutes. So I'm just thinking of people who, besides myself, who gets individually, the board packets.
Right. If someone calls, we can print them off for them if they need them. It's a time thing, Kristen.
Okay, so I just wanted to comment on that. I brought that up a few months ago. Thank you. That was it.
Anyone else participating that would like to bring concerns, comment to the board? Thank you very much for everyone that participated in tonight's meeting. With no other business to come before the township board, I'm looking for a motion
I
to
will
adjourn.
make that motion.
Ms. Gardner moves. Is there support?
Support.
Mr. Jenke, we have a motion to adjourn. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.